And we're going.
Yeah, we are.
We're going. It's the video game times.
This is video games.
This is the one that's about video games.
There's gonna be a lot of video games.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about this through the week, and it's definitely like this is a primary thing this one's gonna be about, because I am juggling hypothetically juggling. I haven't actually started playing Control yet, but I downloaded it, so there's like 4 games I'm like juggling between that are new to me right now. Plus there's a little bit of stuff from like Gotcha and things to talk about, and some other stuff going on. There's some other news out there. I keep realizing like 5 seconds after we turn off the microphone, so I'm at least going to mention it right now on air. I keep forgetting to talk about the Mass Effect collection.
Yeah.
Like, we said once upon a time we really wanted to see it, and then like every time it gets, like, there was the news that got announced, it got a price point, other stuff, and like every time it comes up, I'm like, dang, dude, I wanted to talk about it on the show, but like we talked for 3 hours and then we turn it off, and I'm like, gosh. Anyway. Now that you know that I at least remembered to say its name, I do want to remind everybody this episode is brought to you by patrons like Adam DeHarp, Anka Comics, Architect 10, Blix G, Carlos, Qua, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Jonathan Sandoval, Kelly Denton, Legendary Boss Hunter, Liam Kessler, Regent Raptor, Rogue Ram, and Shawnee Peace. I'm getting Bob Soto's over 2 for 17 Read. If you like it and you want to see us do more, consider supporting Patreon. Get access to episodes early and lots of other goodies, and will really help us out. Thank you for your support, everybody.
Thank you.
Gosh, and I haven't even touched the new Civ update either.
Nope.
That's another thing in there. Oh, golly gee willikers, Lucky. Where should we start today? Should we start with Stellaris?
Let's start with Stellaris.
That's what you're playing, Stellaris.
Yeah. I'm trying, like, I'm again futzing around with the Church of Curvatology because, you know, conquering the world for butts, with butts.
Yeah, so I believe, because there were actually several games on sale this weekend, which I picked up the Everything edition of XCOM 2 on my PC for like $30, and also Sid Meier's Beyond Earth, even though people don't like that one. I like space, so it was like $10.
Does this bro have 4 arms? That's pretty baller.
Entirely possible. There's a lot of freaky deaky portraits.
No sexy portraits, but what always kills me.
No, I think you mentioned this off mic yesterday. I feel like I do agree with you. I feel like other than some of the humanoid portraits, and even then, sometimes it's very hard to tell between male and female humanoid portraits. Like, they went out of their way to just be like, no cute sexy aliens.
None.
But also, we'll let you be a Venus flytrap if you want. If you buy plantoids, you could just be a friggin' Venus flytrap alien. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I guess. I don't know. It's the same with, like, I don't know why, but there's no, like, even though it would make sense for a lot of the special synthetic origins, there are no machine portraits that are really that humanoid. No. Like, the closest is the default robot portrait.
Yeah.
But even then, that's much more like a Geth from Mass Effect. Hey, see, I brought it back up again.
Hey.
People say that to me, and I don't give a flying fuck. I barely even know who that guy is. I refuse to know more. You sound like whoever you think I sound like. Anyway.
You sound like a person.
Where was I? Stellaris, right.
Yes.
It's entirely possible that today I sound a little bit because I'm nasally, because we're opening and closing windows and stuff. I hope to God Axe isn't jumping in to, like, tell me about a guy I just said I don't care about.
Oh, no.
Oh, I sound like your Game Master. Okay.
That's good. That's good.
That's better.
That's good, Axe. Thumbs up.
We've talked about this before. Sometimes Axe feels the need to slightly over-explain things, and I feel a little bit danger. I'm like, wait, hold on. Axe, are you going to jump in and explain stuff?
No.
No. Okay, all right. Stellaris, though. So, I bought a couple of other games. I haven't played them at all, so we'll talk about that later. I need to do, like, a big,
Okay, by the way, I need to mention, I love the plantoid one's fucking names, because they're very planty. It's plant names: Gentle Winds, New Beginning, Blooming Fields, Joy, Sprout.
Oh yeah,
Bloom.
no, all the 4 blocks of plant. I made space halflings because that's a humanoid portrait. I used one of the plantoid names because the character names are stuff like Rose Maple, and I'm like, oh, this is great. I love it.
No, I'm sticking with this.
No, there's some really good name banks in here now. I love it.
Let's see here.
But okay, so there's some other games. I need to go on like a big XCOM binge. I've had Chimera Squad since Lucky got it for me when it came out early last year. I still haven't touched that. I'll get in there. I'm on my PC. I'm playing games now. But the other thing is that they did an official announcement for the next Stellaris DLC. You can wishlist it now. It's not out, but they announced it. They had a trailer. They're calling it Nemesis. Which, based on the trailer and description, basically seems like it has two major mechanical components. The first is espionage. You can now have much more distinct control over covert ops with other star empires. You can engage in, like, sabotage, spying, etc., etc. You know, kind of listen in on them, figure out more about them kind of stuff. And then the second step is that they've enhanced a system for endgame stuff, where basically, depending on how you feel, you can either basically step up and nominate yourself to become the, like, new super cool galaxy guy in the endgame crisis, right? And, like, kind of rally everybody to your cause. Or they realize that players did this anyway. You can just become the Nemesis and start the endgame crisis yourself, basically.
Yeah.
Which is something you could already theoretically do. Lucky's talked about it before. Opening the L gates to fuck everybody else.
It's like, fuck you guys.
So it sounds like they're going to formalize that. And also they're going to do another new super weapon, which lets you blow up stars. It sounds like. Because they were already... I don't remember what it's called. Is it the Colossus is the planet cracker?
I don't remember.
Yeah, listen, I got a lot of DLC now, and I don't know what they all do yet. But yeah, there's the planet cracker, and now they're going to make a sun destroyer. A star killer base. It's cool. It's great. And that's kind of the crux of what we're going for here. But as a result of Nemesis, which sounds super cool, by the way, super interested in this stuff. Probably.
I do know you can make, like, xenomorph armies already.
I wouldn't be surprised if you could, like... Because you can already have, like, vassals and sub-empires and stuff. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if one of the things is you create self-replicating killers, either biological or mechanical, that fuck everybody else up. And may also fuck you up in time. That sounds like a classic Paradox Interactive coin flip. Yes, you've made the gray goo. Well, it turns out it eats you first, but you get to watch it eat everybody else. Anyway, so to celebrate Nemesis, we assume, because it's super cool, like, all of the DLC on Stellaris is, like, super discounted right now.
Yeah, it is.
Which is pretty good. So, for me, I know Lucky had already bought, like, half of it.
Yeah, I did.
For me, I was already planning on buying it, but we had one community member who was an animal and just got me, like, half the DLC already, gifted it out. And then I went ahead and basically bought all the remaining half myself. I bought a big bundle they had for more story stuff and some of the species packs. Because I got, like, they gave me, like, Leviathans and I think Federation and Unity? Yeah, XCOM 2 is super cheap, my dude. That's just the base game, though. I upgraded to all the DLC, so I've got all the cosmetic packs and the Chosen and shit. But yeah, it's good. It's goo right now. Check that out, too, guys. XCOM 2 is great, and someday I'll play it on my PC. I only ever got it, like, on PS Plus before, which is a little clunky. It's not really optimized for controllers. Anywho, DLC for that. So they got me those, and then I was like, bundle up, and it was like $25 for the remaining half, except for, like, 2 of the species pack. And then as I'm futzing around creating new species, because I got the, like, plantoid and humanoids pack and stuff, which seemed pretty fun, right? It's like, recommended DLC, lithoids, and I'm like, okay, game, how much is lithoids right now? $3.99? I could be persuaded. So now I literally own every DLC, but obviously Nemesis, which isn't out yet, and the Necroid species pack, which I will probably take a pass on for now.
Yeah, no.
It's a cool concept, but I'm not super about it.
Yeah, hecking, Lucky had already spent, like, over $100 on getting most of the DLC except for the species pack. So said animal just went ahead and bought me all the fucking species packs. I'm just like, well, fine, be that way. How dare you? How dare you give me things? Oh, now I gotta play them. Rude.
Yeah, so I've created, like... I tuned up some of my previous species, because they have actual space dwarf portraits now, Lucky.
I know, I saw.
They're literally space dwarfs. But they also add, like, a decent number of new humanoid portraits. Like I said, like, I used one for space halflings as well. And there's a couple of other ones in there that are okay. Then there's plantoids and lithoids are the big ones.
Oh wait.
And then Necrons, obviously, but I didn't
wrong.
go. Like I said, didn't go for that one. Oh, oxygen not included. It's half off.
Oh shit.
Big space sale this weekend. So yeah, there's a lot of new stuff to do. Like I said, I created like 5 or 6 new species, and I have booted up a new game this afternoon, but I've not poked it very far, so I don't really know a whole hell of a lot yet. Like I fired up one of the species I made, who are supposed to be kind of I used the like horned humanoid portrait, and I made them kind of like a nomadic space race. They're really big about materialism and stuff, because they're they're diplomatic but open traders because they're space nomads. I picked the Voidborn origin, which starts you with space habitats.
Yep.
Which is pretty cool. And then you can turn that into an ascension perk to get research to build more space habitats. So fuck habitability, space habs. But unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of time to play around with that yet. So it seems super cool. I'm definitely interested in seeing all the stuff going on out there. I got access to Synthetic Dawn, so I can do like machine races as well, and swap around the advisor voices. Though I haven't yet figured out how to actually get the game to do that.
What, the advisor voices?
Yeah, I got them. They're in there.
Oh,
you can see them in the Empires, but it's like the normal ass tutorial boy shows up and he's like, "Hey, do you want stuff?" And I'm like, "I might still want tips because I've got new systems," and he just stayed in his default voice, and I haven't figured out a button for that.
Yeah, like basically I go into voice, you click custom, and then you pick one, because I have the spiritualist one. I like it.
Well, yeah, you click custom beforehand, but like I said, I get into the game and it's still default guy.
Wild.
So hopefully I'm not stuck with that forever and I have to make a whole new galaxy to unfuck that. This is my like one major complaint about Stellaris is that the menus and shit are not super intuitive and informative. Like, you have a lot of displays, you can usually find what you need, but if you want to, like, drill down and find a setting, it's not exactly like, hey, click here, doofus. When it yells at you to click here, doofus, is usually when you've finished building, surveying, or researching something. Why did somebody double post something? Delete one of the posts. How dare you?
What the fuck was it? Actually, hang on, no. What the fuck were they called?
Rub my sweaty eyes. It's alright, it's hot in here. My eyes are sweating. So, yeah. I don't really have any super big stories to tell you about. Like I said, I didn't get deep in there. But I had a lot of fun playing around with the different new traits and things you can do, different portraits. Lithoids are kind of interesting because they're, in case you can't tell from lithoids, they're rock people. They're rock aliens. So they don't eat food. They eat minerals. So I have not yet tried out that species yet, but I did make one. And I made them actually like spiritualist traditionalists. They're holy space rocks. Because there's one of the space rock portraits which is vaguely angelic, so I'm like, that'll be fun to try out. A lot of fun, different systems to try out with people. I made a space roam with just humanoid portraits, and because there is a SPQR names package, so I was like, fuck it, we'll make normal humans. I'll work with this. And then the whatchamacallit, I think I picked the option, the hegemon option that starts you in a small federation.
Oh yeah.
Because that's the beautiful thing about all these extra DLCs is you get a lot more fun origins. Like, I think the default 3 are like
Lost Colony or
Lost Colony, Gate, Planetary Unification, aka the default one. It's like nothing special, just you've finally formed your one planetary government and are now exploring space. Cool beans. Now there's fun stuff like for my plant race, I made them a collective mind. And I picked the world tree one, so there's literally like a space tree growing on their planet that they all come from. I thought that was rad. Because with the DLCs, you can get access to building your own megastructures and stuff, which I've immediately found like an extra destroyed megastructure. I just haven't done anything with it.
Oh yeah, no, I found like ruined rings before, and I'm all like, this thing is cool. It just takes fucking forever to fix.
Yeah, I found a destroyed interstellar assembly hall in a system, and I'm like, that's neat. I'll look at that later. But like that's one of the origins you can pick. You mentioned destroyed. You can be ruined ring.
Yeah.
I mentioned Voidborn earlier. That starts you in space habs rather than on a planet, which is pretty cool. There's a number that are like hey, you get there's extra shit in your system from races watching you, or you start off as a vassal to a fallen empire kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That sort of fun, just fun little stuff you can do with alliances and whatnot. It seems pretty cool. I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing with it over the next couple of months, weeks, years, millennia, epochs. Lucky, do you have any new specific stories about Stellaris you've run into so far?
No, not really. Let me delete these. No, like I said, I haven't been putting a huge amount of time. I've been playing it off on and on. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of other things actually. Like, for example, this month's PlayStation Plus games is Control and Concrete Genie, and I've been wanting to play Control for a while because I heard a lot of people talking about it. And so I've started on it. I don't know exactly how far I am through the game. I guess I don't have anything like a progress bar or anything, but I think I've made fairly decent way in, and I can definitely understand why people said are a little what's the word? Put off by playing it on the PS4, because I'd like to remind everyone I have a base standard PS4. It's not a Pro. It's not that one. It's like this, I got this PS4 back when they first came out, and I've been using it ever since. And while the game doesn't like necessarily make the thing chug, loading screens are kind of a pain. And if too much is happening on screen at once, the game does slow down. But I've solved this problem by getting real good at killing things fast. I love hucking giant rocks at people. It is the best. But like I said, like as I'm playing Control right now, I'm not necessarily understanding what people were necessarily hyped up about it. Because, well, I do like the main character, Jessie Faden. I like her. I like what she has going on. I mean that mentally, not physically. I should clarify. Because there is definitely something going on there. And I like the setting of the Federal Bureau of Control, of like all the little papers you can pick up and read. Although the fact that everything is fucking classified and censors, I'm all like, just let me know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those slow burn games.
Yeah,
I know a lot of people who are like, man, this game is great. It's super cool. I can't wait for DLC kind of thing.
Yeah, well, like I said, like once you take out like the FDC and all the weird shit happening like as the story, it's a very kind of generic third person shooter. Like you basically get a gun. It's called the service weapon. It's actually cool because it's the fucking O part. And you basically only have this one gun, and you can change it into different forms. So the first form you get is just called the grip. It's just basically a solid pistol. Then you can get the scatter, which is like a shotgun. The charge, which is a high power round that you have to charge up. The spin, which is like a machine gun. And you can only carry like 2 of these at once, and you get a couple mods. You can put mods on each configuration to change it up, and then you can put up to 3 mods on yourself to give your boss up a little bit of room. So there's a little bit of customization to how you play, and then there's your what they call it? Asset. It wasn't assets. It was the fucking. You get level up points. Basically, you get so far in a game where you do a mission, you get points, and you put them into like your health, your energy, or to one of the various powers you get. Now, this is one of the things I do love about this, because Control is very much just like a take on SCPs, and the fact that weird objects just do fucking weird shit. Like, one of the ways that you can get around the Federal Bureau of Control, also known as the oldest house, is that if you see a light switch, there's a good chance that if you click it 3 times, you're going to be teleported to a fucking outer world motel and have to solve a puzzle to get back. At which point you'll be teleported place somewhere else. Like they like to say, the rule of 3 always applies. But other things is you will find, like, I don't think this is necessarily spoilers to talk about. One of the objects you find, it's a fucking floppy disk that contains Soviet-era nuclear codes. But for some odd reason, it just has the ability to just kinetically throw things around it. Don't know why, it just does this. And if you can reach it before getting pummeled by a fuck ton of fire extinguishers, you can get that power, and that's usually how a lot of the power-ups work. You find a crazy-ass fucking object that's being really fucking weird, you get close to it, and you tell it, don't do that, and it's like, okay. Let's see, what have I found? Like, a carousel horse gives you the ability to dodge and evade. What are the powers? Oh, yeah, there's a safe that gives you a shield ability. An X-ray machine that gives you the ability to do mind control. And I feel like there's one other one. No, I think that's it. I think there's one more power that I have yet to get, which is apparently there's a levitation power, but I haven't got it yet. If anyone's curious how far I am, I'm in the Black Rock Quarry. I'm blowing up rock because I need to get a prism for story-related reasons. But, like, combat it's pretty basic. Like, you can use your powers to do stuff. Like, one of my go-to tactics is if I see a dude with a shield, I just pick something up, throw it at him. Usually it breaks the shield, and when they're on the ground, I just blast them. But like, I use that technique a lot. Like, there's not a lot of variety at this moment of what I can do. Usually it's my tactic is pick something up, throw it at somebody, and then shoot them. Sometimes, if I'm low on health, I'll throw up a shield so I can maybe run around and pick up some health pellets. And you can do, like, as you level up things, you can do better stuff. Like, for example, with the launch ability, that's what they call it. You have to upgrade it to do this, which kind of annoyed me. But you can then, grab rockets and grenades that are launched at you and fire them back, which is a goddamn lifesaver. Because, boy howdy, when they start bringing out people with grenade launchers and rocket launchers, they go ham with them. For example, with the shield ability, after you upgrade it a couple times, when you release the shield, you can like throw the debris forward. Because the way that the shield works is it's not like a telekinetic sphere. No, you actually grab a bunch of rock and rubble around you and wield it around you, to block bullets and stuff. So it's not necessarily perfect, but it's thematic. It's thematic. It's on point. Telekinesis. And then you can, like, as you upgrade, you can do things like you can run, like, as you're holding it, you can charge into people, or you can, like, launch it and stuff. But I'm like, no, I don't want to get close to people. They're going to shoot me. I'm going to stay back here. And, like, huck fucking fire extinguishers and shoot them. And that might be, that might be on me a little bit because, my play style. But at the same time, the game doesn't really necessarily engender you to try weird, crazy stuff like maybe Bethesda's Prey did. Bethesda's Prey is like, yeah, let's just give you a bunch of crazy and wacky guns that you can mix and match and do weird shit with. Like I said, there's no, like, it's a third-person shooter with everyone shooting guns at you, but there's no actual cover system. They just tell you, keep moving, keep running, constantly run, never stop moving. I'm like, okay. Enemy design is meh. They have story reasons for it, but at the same time, I'm just all like, But, like I said, the story is okay for Control, personally. Like the thing that me interests most about Control is the main character Jesse Faden, and just the whole of the FDC as a whole. So there are, like I said, I'm still invested in the game. I still want to keep going, but I'm not playing this game for its gameplay or necessarily its story. It's because I should say the overall story. It's because I want to see more of the setting. I want to see what more happens to Jesse, because otherwise, I don't know how many fucking level up points I'm gonna get, because there's the trees are big, and there's still a tree I haven't even unlocked, which I'm assuming is the levitate ability, which means that's more points. Oh, excuse me. So, I'm having fun with it. I die a lot because guess what? I'm talking about them rocket boys. You get 3 of them in the same room, and they'll fire like 3 rockets at once. If you ain't moving or dodging or behind something, you just die. It's like, Jesus.
All right, seems interesting. I mean, it's one of those games that, seeing the trailers and stuff, I was all like, yeah, this is my aesthetic.
Oh, no, it's totally your aesthetic. Trust me, it's all government conspiracies, all psychic powers, it's all weird, unexplained shit, and how they're rationalizing it and stuff. No, aesthetic is great. The aesthetic is awesome. That's what I'm talking about. The setting is amazing. It's super good. And Jesse is, I don't want to say relatable, But you're like, I understand this person. At one point you have to go into the power generator, and while no one ever actually explicitly says it, it seems like what's powering the FDC isn't electricity per se. It's some basically otherworldly creature that they keep trapped in a power generator to generally concentrate power, and if they don't keep it cooled and calmed, it will fucking freak the fuck out. This is their second one, by the way, because the first one was able to teleport out. So I'm like,
just use double A's, nerds.
So I'm like, yeah, no, like aesthetic-wise, no, this game is great. It's just that I think the best way to say is gameplay is okay. It's not great, but it's not bad.
All right.
I'll
see when I get to it.
Yeah.
Because so speaking of games that the other person is playing, if you don't have anything further to say on Control,
not about Control, no.
We can pivot a little bit. So Lucky's played a decent amount of Control.
Yep.
Which is one of the PS Plus games for this month. I have downloaded it. I'll be interested to see kind of like if maybe the fact that, because you say you feel driven to like kill a lot of dudes before your frame rate starts to go to shit.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how that goes for me on the PS5.
Yeah, like I said, if I get too many dudes close to me, I start slowing down. Things start blurring. It's a pain.
And it's probably because there's a lot of wonky psychic powers physics involved.
Yeah.
That the game is trying to keep track of.
Like literally just about everything on the floor you can pick up and throw. So basically that means there's collision for every single one of those objects.
Yeah, no, that's a lot of calculations the system's got to be running then. Okay. So yeah, I'll report back on that when I get to it. Mm-hmm. But also, yeah, I had a very busy week of stuff. Where things kept arriving to me.
Oh, that's right.
So early, and it was early. It was a little before they reported it. I was busy Wednesday though, shooting something, so I didn't get a chance to do it until Thursday. But I did in fact get 13 Sentinels.
Yeah.
It actually came early. I got everything. It's great. Fired up, installed it. I've got about 5 hours of playtime. I didn't play any today because I didn't know when we would start recording. And it's. I mean, so as far as I can tell, you can. Other than maybe in the middle of combat, I've never tried to save. But you can save most times, anytime. But it definitely feels like the kind of game where I'm like, I don't want to be hip deep in one of these story segments and have to stop for a couple hours. Because I feel like that's going to get me confused.
Mm-hmm.
Or at the very least, forget my place. So, I'm pretty sure, like I said, like an hour of my playtime is probably fake, where it was just like on and I was in between stuff. Because I talked about this with Lucky off mic. 13 Sentinels is absolutely a game that requires, like, maybe not 100% of your attention, but it needs a lot of your focus at any given time. Because in the story segments, I got to this menu. What do they call it? It's not... Is it Remembrance?
Remembrance is the...
Remembrance is story?
Yeah, and then Destruction is the...
Destruction is battles.
Yeah.
And then Mystery, I think, is just your archives. But, so when you're doing Remembrance segments, now that you know they're called that for the first, couple hours of the game, but when you're doing that, that's all, I mean, it's more interactive than some Vanillaware games I've played, because you actually have to look around and click on things as opposed to being, like, pure visual novel. But that's still, like, all reading, listening, and then you have to also move around to keep doing the plot forward. Like there are, I'm not entirely sure why, I guess it's just for flow. There are times when, like, your conversation is broken up into multiple clicks on a person when it really doesn't have to be. Like, in the tutorial, anyway.
I think it's so that people, so people maintain their focus. So instead of just...
so that, like, it gives you that pause second, so if you're, like, distracted, it doesn't, like, keep playing without you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that requires you to, like, focus and do stuff, because you gotta, like, activate idea mode and stuff. And then the destruction mode, obviously, the combat, that's real-time with pause, like Stellaris. So that's like, okay, when your turn is up, you can set it down, but it's not the kind of thing where you want to, like, let it flow without you paying attention to it.
Yeah.
Because stuff will start happening, and you'll probably start getting your butt kicked. I'm playing on normal, so I didn't notice anything in the even though they, like, cautioned you about lost conditions, I didn't really feel like I was in any danger in the actual tutorial segments.
No, I played the entire game on normal. I did not lose this. Well, did I ever actually get a game over state? I don't think I did. Because the game's the game's interesting. There's a couple ways to actually enter a fail state. It's if you lose any of the pilots.
And they cover this tutorial.
Yeah.
Basically, if your Sentinel is damaged so that it can't function, it goes away. It goes home to repair.
Mhm.
And your pilot ejects. When your pilot ejects, they're on the ground and they're just a squishy Japanese teenager. So if anything fucking happens in their immediate area, they'll die.
Yeah.
They're dead. So don't friendly fire them, because I've noticed that the game. I don't think I've hurt an ally.
No.
So I don't think there's that kind of friendly fire, but you could absolutely fire into a zone where your buddy's standing right there with like a bajillion missiles. So I'm gonna guess that if you do that while a friendly pilot is ejected, that probably does them in. And then there's also the other condition they show you in the tutorial is if the terminal gets popped.
Yeah.
Then game over, because the Deimos. I'm playing with Japanese audio, by the way, because I'm a huge weeb.
Honestly,
no offense to, I'm sure, the 5 bajillion hours of voice work the English actors had to do.
Yeah, no, this game is fully voiced. Also, like I said, like, yeah, no, I didn't even try the English voices. Because honestly, again, like this one I say, this is a game that you can only play for the first time once.
Yeah, no.
So it's just
I'm okay with my first impression being in Japanese. Like I think you can switch anytime. I might check out the voice cast to see how they do once I've got a better grip on these characters. But no, I figured we'll go Japanese first. It's got a lot of text boxes. But we were asking ourselves why like when did this game come out? Well, Sky of Hope's already shaped, Chief. And there's some stuff it won't shape. Like on the one hand, so you talked about like inspiring me about stuff. On the one hand, yeah, the like urban fights for survival and like, you know, the in a condition where there's like a doomsday, there's like a zero out with, you know, faceless aliens invading. Oh yeah, no, that's absolutely kind of to like the Deimos are much more mechanical looking for the most part than the Adventus combat forms are. Those are much more like mechanical, big floating. In the anime of Sky of Hope, they would be the obvious weird alien CG monsters.
Yeah, looking like, I think we said like kind of like the Nuroi from fucking Strightwix or something.
Yes, the Nuroi was definitely a inspiration for the aesthetic, especially of their larger vehicles.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like I was already there, and then there's some stuff though that like the Sentinels are also very clearly like Ava scale. Like they're fucking huge. They're enormous.
Yeah.
Whereas Sky of Hope is much more in the LFO or like Gundam scale of like, yeah, it's a couple stories tall. You know, it's about as big as maybe a jet fighter, but not super, super huge. But no, this is one of those things where it's like, no, you guys, I was already here. I'm in there.
Yeah, no, like I said, I think I said like you would add it to your list of
Yeah, if people are looking for what has the aesthetics of Sky of Hope, yes, definitely parts of 13 Sentinels I've seen is in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was talking about like, so I've got about a fake hour of gameplay because, like I said, there were points when I had to like let it sit and do stuff because it's not very easy to split your attention.
Construction.
Because it's, like we said, fully voiced. That's why it probably took it like a year to come out, just like Persona. You know, there's oodles of text and oodles of voice lines that you got to record. And I'm really glad that there is the analysis section, right?
Oh,
History files and stuff. Shout out to you, Vanillaware, and the other associated studios who worked on this for employing a mechanism which tracks events in chronological order relative to all the characters, because holy shit. I mean, it's a time travel story. That's not even like a spoiler. That's like 5 seconds in. I think if you go back and watch Lucky's What's Up where he started playing it, in the course of the What's Up, we hit the point where it was a confirmed time travel multiple times, right? So there's like there's a friggin' Back to the Future tree graph of timelines and shit. Because one character's from 1944. Most of the action takes place in the 80s.
Yep, 1985
actually. But several characters flash back to their relationship building in 1984. And then a couple of our characters are dragged out of 2026, I think.
Yeah, because everything's in 40-year cycles, 40-year gaps.
Yeah.
Basically.
And then the Sentinels themselves are from like the 2070s or 2080s or something.
No, I think they're from like 2100s or something like that.
Construction.
They're even further in.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, so there's a lot of different time zones and also just straight up alternate timelines. Like there are people from alternate 1985 who are like dead.
Yeah.
And exploded, right? Like there's all kinds of this shit back and forth. It's really so like I said, I'm really, really glad there is literally a mechanism to track when events happen relative to the character stories.
Yeah.
You can search it overall or by character.
Overall is a trip. I'm just telling you that right now.
No, I figured that because I've noticed there's a huge gap before we get to any of the events you do with the prologue. And I'm just like, yeah. Yeah, nope. Gee, is it because like half these people have fucking amnesia? There's a lot of amnesia.
Construction.
But also, Lucky mentioned this before. I definitely see what you're talking about when you say that it feels like this is like all the sci-fi tropes and references. Because like every time a new character is introduced, new trope, new reference, new thing. Like you get to, I guess she's not Shen, so I guess she's Natsumi. Like you do hers, and she's like obsessed about UFOs. She thinks she's doing an ET thing or EXT because they want to avoid trademarks.
Also, name drops War of the Worlds.
Yes, no, absolutely name drops War of the Worlds, which also they're four-legged, but I forget what that enemy is called.
High Quad.
Are very much inspired by Martian tripod action. And she finds a little robot buddy, right? And then you've got multiple characters who so fair warning, guys. I'm gonna be awful with the names. I'm only 5 hours in. There's so many fucking characters, dudes.
Yeah, no, it's a huge cast.
It's rough. And even if I'm familiar with Japanese names, that's like, well, I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they're actually all 13 of them are literally playable, but I assume they are.
Yeah, no, there's 13. There's 13 playable characters, and then there's a couple of secondary characters after that. You don't get to play them, but you see them around constantly. Oh, I am? No! No wonder you can't hear me. Fuck. Hang on. Disconnect. And then
the game will teach me stuff, Axe. But like I said, I'm only 5 hours in, and I've already had to be introduced to like, I think a dozen of these, at least half a dozen playable characters, and probably a couple more. I mean, I don't know how long it is.
The game's like 30 hours. Like,
yeah, I'm about to say, I know how long the game is because one of our community members, who is a 13 Sentinel stan, did the PlayStation in review because they did their yearly back analysis, and he had like 30 hours in it. So
yeah,
it's not that long. But I do know that there is, because there's a fucking tree menu for this and everything. It's got like, I'm gonna assume to complete completion, it's probably more closer to 45 or 50. Axe is saying in chat, because I know that there are branching stories and bits. Like you can do different decisions to get to see different events in the sequences.
Well, no, here's the crazy thing. Usually you need to do all those branches to get the 100% completion.
Okay, so you need to do them all anyway. All right.
Yeah, and they always spin it like you are just living another day. So basically information you got in one branch, you can take to another branch.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and this is also the stuff, by the way, that might not be apparent to Sky of Hope, but is actually like real deep in there. Like, I mentioned this explicitly in the themes. Parallel universes, times, places, people is very, very key. It's a huge theme. Like mirroring and parallels. Yeah, like
I said, I don't think I should have used the word inspiration, but maybe I should have said like maybe vibes, I guess.
Yeah, no, it definitely vibes with, and like you said, I will probably tack it on there as a good reference.
Yeah.
Even some of the combat stuff, it's pretty funny. Like you could already do chaff and flares, but like a couple months before I got this game, I already added a new mod, which was the mine layer, so you can shoot mines, which is very hilarious when I find out that I think it's a feature that a lot of the aerial type Sentinels have, is the like flare torpedo.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of the thing that's going on. Like, yeah, it's got some interesting parallels there. I gotta say, so for combat stuff, my other critique I have with combat is I'm a little disappointed that the maps are so tactical and zoomed out.
Yeah.
Like if you hover over an enemy, you get its little sprite. If you hover over an attack, you see a little cool cut-in animation. You don't see any of that shit on screen when you do it, though. It's all just dots move around, people yell, some lights shoot out. Like, it's a cool aesthetic, but at the same time, especially having come off some of their other games, like I've never played it, but I've seen it played of Dragon's Crown. And I've played games like Grim Grimoire, which is also an RTS game. And like when you play Grim Grimoire, that's like a 2D, open RTS, right? And you get to see all these lovely sprites in motion. And so like I'm like that's really really good. Obviously, Dragon's Crown, if you've ever seen it, is like really really heavy into the aesthetics.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, here let me pull up a GIF. So like, yeah, like that's how that combat looks.
Well, I understand that at the same time, but I also kind of understand it because once you start getting into the battles, they start putting a lot of units on screen.
Yeah, no, I feel like it was kind of a like a technical thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, okay, because there are some enemy types, you even see them in the tutorial, that are like worker drones or flying drones, which are like tiny and huge numbers. Like, the game is really like, hey, different shit works on different enemies. Use different because it's got tactical elements to the combat.
Yeah.
So, by the way, Vanillaware, if you want to produce perhaps a tabletop miniatures game, I'm sure that would go well. We could do it in TTS. Come on, somebody help a brother out. But yeah, like, so I mentioned, for instance, the torpedo flare. Hey, if you have a lot of enemies, a lot of small, weak enemies congregating on a choke point, put a fucking mine there. Do you have big, strong enemies a long way away shooting shit at you? There's at least one character I've seen whose Sentinel has AA flak you can throw up, which will temporarily absorb shit. Characters kind of... Lucky, do characters get more than 3 abilities ever? Like 3
yeah.
attacks?
Yeah. No,
okay.
Basically, once you get into the full game, you'll get the access to gather meta chips. And meta chips...
Yeah, they already talked about that. They didn't actually, like, show that as a mechanic.
Yeah, no, that doesn't show up until you actually get into full section.
Okay.
But basically,
so
like
when you're doing the tutorial, everybody has 3 basic abilities, which is usually like 1 basic bitch attack, 1 stronger attack, and then 1 like special feature, which for some people is like a really really big attack. Others it's a support thing.
Yeah, let's see. I think they all have like 8 to 10 abilities, but you can only like slot like 6, and a couple of them are passives. And you can upgrade them. Like fucking.
And I don't remember because I've only played, like I said, the tutorial. I don't remember off the top of my head. Lucky, I'm sure remembers. But different generations, so different characters, models have different specialties.
Yeah.
Like, Gen 3 is long range, right?
Yep. Gen 1's melee. Gen 2 is balance. Gen 3 is long range, and Gen 4 is aerial.
Yeah. So, for instance, aerial guys can move anywhere.
Yep.
Everybody else has to follow street corners, which can help affect your like movement distance and pathing and stuff. But aerial guys can like fly wherever they need, and tend to have different abilities. I'm very curious to see if it turns out in the story that like, because obviously all the Sentinels are connected to certain characters. I'm wondering if there was like an extra special conscious decision for whatever future conspiracy is producing the Sentinel line to make sure every pilot had abilities that match up to them, or if it's just a gameplay conceit. But different characters have different things. Like the delinquent girl Yuki, like her aerial form, I noticed that her like 100 energy point one is like a big like melee attack. Yeah, the tail spike.
Yeah, the leg spike.
Which I'm like, yeah, that's perfect for her. She gets up in your business.
Yeah, no, it's not unique to her, but it's definitely one of those things of like, no, it fits her.
Complete.
Yeah, and so they preloaded everybody with abilities that make sense for them.
Mm-hmm.
And like I like a lot of the different stuff. It was pretty funny in the final tutorial where they're like, last the timeline or beat up everybody, where it's just like I got like the final one of those walker enemies like fuckboxed in a corner between my 2 melee units, and I was just like, my long range guys literally don't have anything to do like other than fly a little bit closer and wait. And so like attacks have different ranges. There's a lot of different radiuses and stuff. Like the display is pretty cool. Like I said, I just wish that I could appreciate the artistry of Vanillaware a little bit more. But they do have the little cut-ins and the animations and stuff, and it's like you said, the game gets pretty crazy even in the tutorial with enemy density. I can't imagine like what's supposed to be like a challenging fight later, right?
Yeah.
Like there's gonna be some packed zones.
Yeah, there can be packed zones. I can actually tell you a little bit. Basically, what happens is they just start basically giving them armor and whatnot and beefing up their numbers. Like, honestly, I don't think there's more than, let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think there's maybe only like 7 to 8 like enemies, and then like maybe like 3 or 4 like of the big types.
Yeah.
And so once they've gotten them all out, they're like, all right, now we're just gonna make them bigger and beefier, and we're gonna represent this by changing their color. They'll go from, what color were they originally?
You mean their like sprite color or their icon color?
Icon color.
Most enemies start as like magenta-ish.
Yeah, and then they'll go like
Kinda
to
like...
blue to yellow, and it's like they beefy.
Okay.
But like I said, it's still like, here's the thing. Like, the thing about the combat is like the combat is surprisingly fun. Like, especially once you get in there, and because like I said, it takes a while to unlock like all the features, but eventually you can, like, as the pilots level up, they'll learn skills. A lot of skills are indicative of teenage romances. They'll do better if they are near specific people, or they'll do better if they're near no one. They'll do better if they act before or after someone else. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and I can totally see that, because this is the beauty of having a huge ensemble cast. There's loads of relationships already building, and I like it, and I'm like, this is great.
Yeah, no.
There's a lot of dynamics. And a lot, like we said, a lot of like different tropes. Like, time travel and amnesia are basically omnipresent at this point, but everybody's a little bit different. Because there's people who have come from the future to save the past. There's another character whose name escapes me at the second, but it's Yakisoba Pan guy.
Yeah, he came from the past.
The one thing he did. Yeah, he came from World War II Japan to the present, and all he cares about is finding this one crossdresser and also eating yakisoba pan.
He may have the gay panic a bit.
Yeah, well, shit happens. But there's a lot of that, different kind of back and forth. Like you I think basically immediately find out that Judo's had his memory erased, basically. He's a different dude now, kind of. Got a different name, but you also find out about his old name, like, right away.
Yeah, they don't hold back.
But that's different than the, like, acute amnesia, I think it's Sekigahara? Yeah. Because he's, like, full-blown, like, Memento-style, wakes up in an alley with a corpse, which that's got to be really interesting to figure out later.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's a recurring character. Right, and he's just like, I have no fucking idea what's going on, and I'm being hunted by men in black, which is an entirely separate trope you see through multiple ones. And he's run into outside of school by Toaster Girl, whose name starts with FU, but I can't remember the rest of it right now. I should look at a list when I'm talking about it.
For you.
They introduce so many characters back to back. It's rough.
It's like when you're looking at them, it's not so bad, but when you're trying to remember
No, when you're playing the game, it's pretty easy to remember who's who and what's what. But, like, when you're trying to think about them in a vacuum, you're like, I can picture your face. I can picture your scene. What the fuck's your name, though?
Because it's like Fuyusaki?
Yeah, like Fuyusaki or something like that. Yeah. So, like, she runs into A outside of school, and it's like love at first sight. And she's got a girl posse. Which is interesting because all of those become characters, and then a new member of her girl posse, secretly it turns out later, was part of a girl posse with another girl, because she's from the fucking future, dude. She knows about smartphones and internet and stuff. I think she's a VTuber. But they got sucked into the past. And then it turns out that her long-haired nerdy friend was crushing on future past Jiro, who got his memory erased, and now he's a different dude. And then she meets a talking cat, who is definitely not the evil little demon fairy fuck from a Magical Girl anime. Who, by the way, I told him to fuck off because I'm like, I don't trust this shady cat. And then he's just like, whatever, I'll make you accept later. And I'm like, okay, so this was like a softball question. Okay, game. But I still was like, nah, that sounds shady as hell. I'll fix everything, dude. You just have to help me with the terminals, my dude. And I'm just like, nope. Shady cat. Nope, don't trust him. And like it just in the prologue for like 6 of the characters, it builds up all these relationships, all these elements, and also throws out all these like tropes and connections and stuff. Like There's Jiro's rich kid friend.
Again, I know who you're talking about. I have his fucking face in mind.
Video game boy. He's the one who wins. But he's a great character because he's a huge ladies' man guy, and he actually, bails Yuki, the delinquent girl, out of trouble, and they go for a sweet ride on his motorcycle. But it also turns out his memory's definitely been erased because he has weird flashback dreams too, and then he's contacted through his TV in the middle of the night by an idol. And I haven't gotten further in that story yet, and I don't think I can because I think I gotta beat a mission first. But like, it's just, this is what I was talking about the attention, right?
Yeah.
Like, it is just nonstop. These characters have through lines that just keep firing. Here's a new character. They're over here. Oh shit! Now you're playing that character. Here's 5 different things about them you didn't know at all before we got here, and could not possibly know. And then it's this and that other thing, and you get the fucking thought cloud mode, which is super cool, but also is sometimes full of dumb shit, like what's his face reminiscing about how much he loves fucking yakisoba. Like, is that really relevant right now?
It is
about your okay, whatever. It's the only thing I can trust in this modern era. Yakisoba pan. I'm just like, God. Oh no. So this game is real great. I'm super excited to get back in it when I got some time.
Yeah, no, it is.
Just got to sit down and do stuff. No, it's real fun. I like the aesthetics and like, so like, it inspire me in the sense that like do stuff immediately off it is incorrect. Inspire me in the terms of like, man, this reminds me about doing Sky of Hope work. Absolutely yes, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Hey, guys, in case you don't know, and I probably won't share because it's very much in dev with people, but I can let Lucky know later. Maybe with the close group, but so Sky of Hope started as one of my many partially done fiction projects. And then I was like, then it was like Genesis system came out and I was like, oh, you can apply this to anything. I wonder what I could do with mecha. And then I was like, wait, I can capitalize on this story and work it into like a mechanical setting. But I was immediately like, ooh, I can, I read over my work and I'm like, yeah. So I've got like 80 pages of fiction of this thing written.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think I only saw chapter 1.
That's possible. I can shoot it to you later.
Yeah.
Because it's in the middle of chapter 4 right now. But like, yeah, it's definitely like, this has the right aesthetics and vibes, and I like it.
Yeah, no, like, honestly, like, I need you to, like, as I said, once you've beaten it and everything has clicked together, that's when we have to talk about it, because the game is, like, I can't talk about it. I really can't. There's so many twists and turns that are coming that when everything's is only going to get way more confusing before it actually gets better. I can tell you that right now.
And like I said, this is why I love the fact that they knew this was coming, and they built the analysis mode to, like, go back over all your character profiles and your events in sequence so you can track when shit is happening. And like I said, I especially love that it's relative to everybody's stories as well, right? Mm-hmm. So you can remember, because they will, when introducing these characters, they totally do shit out of sequence.
Yes.
Like, when you go back and check later, because you start on Juro, and he talks to Fuyusuki because she's asleep again, because she's constantly sleeping because she has bad dreams, which are definitely not about some alternate timeline she was in. That's definitely not how that works. But, like, they have a casual conversation, and you can't really tell if they know each other very well later, but then you go do her segment next, I think, or she's, like, third. Mm-hmm. But she's very early on. And then, like, there's a whole thing where she meets him, and the other guy who's only mentioned in Juro's segment never shows up because he's gone off somewhere else to do something. And then, like, when you unpack that later, you realize, oh, yeah, no, these guys have already met and have already talked about the dream thing and, like, have built a relationship. They've formed a power trio in addition to Fuyusuki girl posse. And then way later, you find out, like I said, like, half the girl posse are from the fucking 2020s. And, you know, keep going and stuff like that. And it's just like, it keeps going and going.
Doesn't stop. Won't stop.
I'm also, it hasn't been explicitly pointed out to me, and it could just be a mass-produced model, but I've noticed that in Ai's segment, he runs into a little robot buddy, and then in Natsumi's segment earlier, the track girl, she finds the robot buddy and takes her into the distant future to find a memory unit. So I'm like, okay, so I'm like 90% sure these two plot lines are going to hook up at some point. There's spoilers. but it's like you can see the seeds because you start to recognize the characters showing up over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
There's the school nurse who is just giant titty.
Classic Vanillaware.
Big action Vanillaware going. And then in a flashback to a future past where she died, maybe, she wears a cat suit and no glasses, and it's just like, God, this is... This whole game, appropriate for being set in the 80s, is 80s as hell. Like, Jiro is big into anime and movies and stuff, but especially kaiju films. He basically references Godzilla, especially Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Like,
they don't call it Godzilla for reasons, but it's obviously, like, classic rubber guy kaiju movies in the 80s. He's a big fan. There's so many references and name checks and shit. There's a lot of parallel locations. The shrine is important, obviously, and it comes back. And I love how they show it in the 1940s, where it's like in the middle of fucking nowhere, like it's literally in the woods. And then when another character has to go to the shrine later to meet back up with somebody, it's, you know, it's what actually happens with a lot of shrines in Japan. The whole neighborhood is like built up around it, just like closed off.
Mm-hmm.
The riverbed is recurring across multiple timelines, you know, stuff like that. It's very interesting. I like it a lot. Like I said, excited to get back there and talk more about stuff.
Good stuff. Good.
Yeah, so we'll unpack that one. Like I said, I'll also get to Control sometime. That was Stellaris, Control, 13 Sentinels. So I'm going to cap this off, this first hour of Video James, with another game I've been playing that I'm excited that I can play, which is at the start of this month. I popped the top and I bought on Steam Halo Master Chief Collection, which starts with Halo Reach. And yeah, spoilers, guys, as evidenced by the fact that I said I have been playing. I can, in fact, play Reach.
Nice.
I did not need to go out of my way to buy a GPU. It runs okay, actually. I had some problems with my first couple sessions where the cutscenes would get a little janky and laggy, and sometimes they freak out. But that could also just be because I've heard that MCC is a little bit wants the RAM juice. Yeah, it's trying to, and it's entirely possible that because I've only got like probably one stick of RAM in this thing, I maybe not like optimized.
You only got
either.
One stick?
I think so. I think it just, unless it's 2 4s, it's only 8. So that might be my problem. Like my computer might not be using the smaller amount of RAM it has wisely. So I will look into that anyway, because that'll just make things easier no matter what. I'll probably still pick up a graphics processor, because here's the thing. I've only installed Reach because that's the default game that MCC on PC started with, and that's the one I really wanted to play the most. But I have no idea how shit like Halo remastered, you know, Halo 2 remastered, Halo 2 Anniversary, or Halo 4, you know, will run on this thing, right?
Right.
Like, I'm pretty sure Halo 3 will probably be okay because they haven't, like, fully remastered that game yet. So while it will have, like, graphic enhancements, it's also still just, it's, you know, 360 type stuff. Probably same with ODST. So those will probably run okay, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to, like, install other newer games and run them cleanly. Because, like, the cutscene packages, especially in, like, Halo 1 and Halo 2 Remastered, are very good. Like, they are cutting-edge modern animation shit. So, yeah, I don't know how well that's going to go, but Reach does, in fact, run and gun. So, that's good. I'm able to play campaign and multiplayer. I started playing campaign for, like, 5 seconds, and then I realized, because I wasn't as familiar with how the unlock system worked with MCC, that it was way easier if I wanted to get those sweet, sick cosmetics, dog, to play multiplayer. So I've played a lot of multiplayer. So I have Halo multiplayer thoughts, but I'll get into them in a second. But yeah, I've played the first couple campaign missions of Reach a couple of times because I did pimp my ride, aka pimp my Spartan, and actually got like a cool helmet. I got like a chest piece, shoulders. I don't have access to any of the cool like wrist accessories or leg accessories yet, but I'm getting there. I'm getting some stuff. It's fun. And that's the thing I really, really like, to like get in there and be like, yeah, that's me. I'm Noble 6. I made sure to set to be a Lady Spartan. Because if you ever see Lady Spartans from behind, they've got great hips and butts. Because when you're wearing full body power armor, that's the only thing other than the voice that comes out you can use to tell that somebody is playing a female player character, basically. Cat has great hips as well. But yeah, so I've been playing it around. It's really fun. I did have to up my sensitivity a lot for some reason. I am playing on controller just for that OG feel. And also, like, honestly, like, I know it's, like, more precise, but I'm just not conditioned to do like high tension FPSs with a mouse.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I own like a super ergonomic mouse someday, I'll try it. But I just prefer a lot of that stuff on controllers. But the sensitivity was at like 3 by default, so I had to bump that up to a solid, I think 5.5 or 6.
Wow.
In order to actually be able to move my cursor onto people and shoot them. It's really interesting because a lot of the game stuff is like you can very clearly tell the retro. Like it's like, nah, this is very old school. Like Reach is the first game where you could sprint, and that's a special power. That's an armor ability. So if you want to get other armor abilities, you lose the ability to sprint. That makes me a little sad. I've noticed playing multiplayer that I almost always default to sprint just because that's usually better. Like very occasionally for certain game types, I'll be like, oh, I'll do a cheeky armor lock or a cheeky hologram, but mostly it's just sprint default. In the campaign, they give you a lot more of these more readily, and it feels like a different tactical tool, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like there are times when I'm like, I'm willing to give up sprinting for 5 minutes so I can like armor lock and become briefly invincible. You know, stuff like that, or get a drop shield so I can heal myself and take cover. I'll probably have some fun when you can unlock invisibility, because that's one of the AvCam is one of the armor abilities, visible for short periods, and do fun stuff there with sneaking. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I like some of the different weapons that they introduced in Reach. I love the DMR. I'm not great with the DMR, but I love it.
System survey complete.
But what I have learned about multiplayer is that there's some stuff that I'm not good at. One of which is SWAT. Lucky, I know you played some campaigns of Halo before. Are you familiar with a SWAT game type though? Like, have you heard of people talk about SWAT?
No, I might know of it, but I don't know it by SWAT. What is it?
Okay, all right. So let me explain in my true blue Omega way what SWAT is. SWAT is the multiplayer game mode in the Halo franchise that isn't Halo, basically. No shields. Headshot damage is super increased. No grenades, no power weapons.
Oh god.
It's all just default guns, usually precision weapons like DMRs. No shields, no anything special other than your armor abilities. And I'm like, I've realized I'm really bad at it, and I don't like it because, like I said, it's not Halo to me. It's just like it's trying to find somebody's head hitbox and pop them in the noggin, which I admit, I'm not the best at. Not the greatest twitch reflexes, especially while I was figuring out how high I had to turn my sensitivity up. So I just don't play SWAT anymore. I've realized I'm bad at it, and some people are probably gonna call me a scrub lord for it, but I'm just like, nah, this just doesn't have any of the fun Halo stuff in it. You can't throw grenades, you can't get access to like rocket launchers and shit. Nah, there's no shields, so you can't like go hide and heal very well. Like your health does recover a little bit, but it's not like. It's not fast enough to matter if people are killing you with bullets,
Mm-hmm.
Whereas that's the kind of like Halo's really big thing when it was introduced was the recharging shields. You get shot a few times, you go hide around a corner. You don't need cover, as say. You just need to get out of fire for a little bit, and your shields come back, and you're fine.
Mm-hmm.
You'll keep living. But there's a lot of fun little weapons I've gotten used to. They have a lot of fun, dumb game modes you can get to if you just play, like, casual multiplayer stuff. Like, one I see I get rolled a lot is, what do they call it? Dino Blasters?
What?
So Dino Blasters is you only play as elites, which you can do in some games. You can play as elite models. You have infinite jetpack and infinite concussion rifle, which is basically a Covenant grenade launcher type weapon. So it's just bunches of elites, Sank Heli, flying around in jetpacks, shooting grenades at each other. And it's pretty hilarious. And it does actually take some skill because the concussion rifle has, like, it's ballistic. It fires an explosive round that kind of drops.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, there's actually a little bit of skill to it, but also sometimes you just wait until a guy accidentally flies himself too close to a wall, and then you just plaster him with effect damage. So there's a lot of little fun stuff. I've played around multiplayer. I've unlocked a decent number of stuff. They do have offline or PvE challenges for, like, firefight modes or player stuff, so you can customize. When we inevitably, like, do all the Halo games, it's going to be pretty funny because I'm going to be, like, super tricked out, I'm sure, by then with all my latest multiplayer shit. And then I don't know if Lucky will pre-play Halo Reach to get a cool helmet.
I feel like they would kind of
get full color customization to start with.
Like, honestly, I want to say no, because I feel that would ruin the experience of me actually playing Halo before. So and that will kind of, I think, keep to the aesthetic where I'll be, like, super tactical and clicked out, and you'll be you but purple, probably. Probably.
You do get a decent color scheme. I'm red, because duh. I might have like some slightly darker red striations, but I'm just red. Also because there's no friendly Spartan on Noble 16, because you get a whole team of buddy Spartans who's colored that way. Like there's dark blue, light blue. Emil is white. Jun is green. George is, I want to say in my mind he's orange, but I'm wondering if he's actually more like a brown color. I'll call George orange. No, nobody would ever mistake George anyway. He's fucking huge and he carries a huge gun. He's the heavy machine gunner in the squad, and he's like a foot taller than everybody else. So you like, that's George. I know that guy. So actually, like, Noble 6 by default is like gunmetal gray, but there are a lot of variety of colors you can be and be instantly recognizable and not be like, hey, who the fuck's that? Oh, because you can do up to 4P co-op, so like it's pretty easy to be like, oh, you're green? Well, I clearly can tell you're that guy, which will be good for later. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I'll play the campaign in my own time, or do some multiplayer stuff. You know, get some EXP. I'll use that as downtime when I'm not working on other projects on my machinery do. Or, you know, like, when I only have a couple of hours to do something, rather than, like I said, like I said, I'm concerned about getting hip deep in 13 Sentinels and then be like, hey, Omega, we need to start running a Star Wars game or something. And I'm like, well, shit, hold on. I gotta repack my brain and unpack my game here. But I have plenty of free time during the week to, you know, get into some big runs on some of those days. So that's my Halo story. Okay. Well, there's a couple of recently developing Lucky video game stories, one of which I've seen unfold today in front of my eyes. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I guess. So, it's with a heavy heart that Lucky will be announcing that he's going to be dropping several gacha games. Now, the reason for this is actually multifold, but the biggest is Final Fantasy XIV has been making some new announcements recently, and as always, when I see things, I always go, man, I really wish I could get back into Final Fantasy XIV and play that. Get back on my summoner, go around, cast shit, throw magic, go around cool worlds and shit, have epic-ass boss battles, yell at people. But, you know, I'm like, oh, I don't got the time. I'm playing, like, so many fucking gacha games and all that crazy shit. I'm like, I can't do it. And then I was like thinking about it, and I was like, wait, why do I play so many gacha games anyway? And then I realized that I usually only play gacha games because someone else is excited about gacha games. I'm like, oh no, I'm excited about it now. And then I just follow the fucking herd. And so I actually had a
fall in the hole.
So I actually had a little bit of come to Jesus moments. I was like, all right, I'm gonna look at the gacha games. Do I like all these games? Yes. Do I need them necessarily? No. And so I actually had to sit down and look at which games I play for what reasons. And I discovered, like, games that, like, I actually have, like, genuine reasons for fucking playing are actually kind of few. Like, FGO I play for story and servants. Like, I love history and I love Type Moon storytelling. So I'm like, yeah, no, that's easy. Also, we kind of have a fucking show around it, so it'd be kind of weird if I stopped playing it.
Yeah, that'd be an awkward one.
Second, which is the one on Sting, is Azure Lane. Because again, like I like history. I like military history. Fucking like doing Mages of War at Omega, maybe not like a huge World War I and World War II buff, but we had to do some fucking research on some things and look things up and stuff. And you're just like, oh, ooh, And so like Azure Lane, which is all about them ships, I'm just like, not as good. Plus, you know, I like the gameplay and I like the horny on main. Then I was looking at Destiny Child. I'm like, no, I like Destiny Child because it's a game that while I've been playing Stellaris, fucking Destiny Child has been going on my phone. It has done 129 maps back to back. It just keeps going, and it's gonna keep going until I run out of stamina. So I'm like, it's very hands off, and I love the character designs, and the story's funny. I'm like, yeah, no, there's a lot of things here. And then I started looking at my other games. Arknights, the character design's very good, but I'm not going anywhere with the story. I have zero desire to do the story. Like, usually events, like, everyone's always excited about contingency contracts. I'm like, eh.
Yeah, no, and honestly, especially because Arknights just have a bind system, that's a pretty easy game to be like, oh, there's an interesting new event that's happening. I can just get into Arknights and play around because you probably have a decent level content team and like you don't need to be crazy over leveled for everything other than the bullshit we never do anyway.
Yeah, so I'm like, no, I don't need it. The one that actually took me a little bit to get rid of was Genshin Impact. Yeah, decided to stop playing Genshin Impact. Because I've like, for as young as this game is, I've sunk way too much money into it. Jesus, like the game was only like not even out like a month and I already sunk several $100s into it. That's wrong. That's dangerous. Like usually, like I'm okay with like spending a little bit of money for like, you know, those initial fucking bonuses you can get. Usually you can get like a character or some extra and stuff. But no, I'm spending several $100s on this game. I'm like, wait, no, that's not good. And like, and since the game is like super hot and fresh, no one knows what's actually coming, and everyone's doing leaks and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I like Gonru, and I like the characters I have, and since it's binded to my account, I'll always have them. But like, looking in the future, I don't know if there's anything I particularly want out of this game.
Yeah, I think this has happened with you in a couple of games. You went pretty ham on Genshin, and then there was kind of a lull, and you realized, for a multitude of reasons, I can no longer go ham on Genshin. I no longer need to play Genshin.
Yeah.
Basically. I'm basically soft quit Genshin. Like, I'm probably not going to uninstall it from my PS5 anytime soon, but I just don't feel like I got time to get into it because it doesn't... Like, it's interesting. I really like the way the kind of the gameplay stuff works and kind of the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
The grinding's a little annoying. Like, I finally hit that cap where it's like, okay, if you want to progress further or go to new places, you got to start getting into dungeons and doing stuff to level these characters. And I'm like, even with like 4 characters, you need like 2 or 3 or more of these things out of these dungeons to get them. I'm just like, I don't got time for that right now. Someday I'm sure I'll have free time and try it again, but for now I'm just like, I'll pick it up later.
Yeah, no, so also Lucky is also might be putting a reserved slot for a future game, because again, if a game is horny on main, Lucky will probably like it, and boy howdy is Last Origin horny on main. Like, there's been no confirmed release date on it yet, but they have said that there is supposedly a global server in the work. And if they can get a global server, I can probably figure out some way to do the uncensored patch, because I might have spent like 5 minutes just looking at giant-ass titty on their character screen, on their character list.
No, it's the horniest game.
It is the horniest game.
We've confirmed it. We did the research. We sent a guy out to check it. It's been confirmed.
So, like, whenever that is, I would like to have time, but mostly, I just want to get back into Final Fantasy XIV. It's like one of the only MMOs I've actually spent a good amount of time in and I actually liked. So, like, who knows? Like, maybe I'll maybe do like a little streams of that or stuff, because I have a character. I have like a level 50 something character back in the Stormblood campaign that I need to finish up. And I think they got like 2 more expansions not out. Like, what was it? Heavensward? No, Heavensward's the first one. Then it's Stormblood. What was the next one? Darkbringer? And I think they're working on something new here. Anyway, but yeah. So I want to get back into Final Fantasy XIV. I'll give you guys updates on that later.
Yeah, I'm sure like you'll have that. Hell, can you... Wondering, is that... I don't know how much brain power that uses. Could you possibly play that during What's Up?
Oh, yeah, no, easily.
Okay. I have never played 14. Like, I like some of the aesthetics. They got some good race choices.
Shadowbringers, yeah. Heavensward serving Shadowbringers. That's what it was.
But I've tried a lot of them. Like, even for like properties and studios I like. And I'm just not an MMO guy. Like I don't like a lot of the MMO game loops for the most part. And especially if they involve anything that involves forced hanging out with other people.
Yeah, that's a lot of MMOs.
I understand that's a big deal with why MMOs are MMOs, but and we have a bigger community, so like finding people to do shit with is not hard, but it's definitely a thing where I'm kind of annoyed where I'm like, okay, but it's my time right now. I would like to be able to like figure this out and do this my own. It's like, nah, dude, you need like four people to come help you out. And I'm just like, I don't really want to wrangle 4 people right now. I'm just me doing stuff, guys. Like,
well, that's why duty fighters are great.
Yeah, but that's why usually I don't get super into MMOs, because they almost always try and, like, a lot of MMOs I've experienced have a really shenanigansy way to try and force you into doing multiplayer, like not making it come up naturally. I don't know. I haven't tried a lot of the really, really classic. Like, I never tried to get into WoW or anything.
Anomaly found.
EverQuest, any of those, like, really, really classic MMOs. But, like, that was something that kind of turns me off. And then just there's a lot of make work and stuff with the expansions and the keeping up with the cost. Like, for online stuff, and this is one of those things where we can talk about how we're different. Like, because you say, Lucky, you don't really like to play, like, online shooters at all.
No. Well, I caveat, I don't like to play online shooters with randos. As long as I have one or two buddies with me, either with me or against me, I can have a blast.
Yeah, and that's a different dynamic. Yeah. But I am that guy who will go solo and fire up. I've prestiged Titanfall 2 multiple times. I think I prestige both the Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3 once each. Like, I played those pretty thoroughly for their cycles they were out. Like, I'll play competitive shooters online. I played Crucible and Destiny. In addition to Destiny, by the way, basically an MMO. That was a game I really liked because that was a game that, other than the raids, which is the part I always disliked, every single thing you could do with rando matchmaking if you had to, or do it solo anyway, right? Yeah. Like, Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 were really good about just like, hey, you just want to play some fucking Bungie shooter games, dude? Shoot some aliens, throw some solar fireballs at people? I'm like, fuck yeah, I do. And they're like, go for it, dude. Hey, you want to do a night strike for a weekly? Sure, we'll hook you up with like 2 other randos who are the same level as you, and I don't know, you do stuff like, oh, I see one of them go down, I'll heal him, whatever. But otherwise, it's not. Mostly we just stay out of each other's ways. That was one of those few like MMO type games that blended the shooter parts perfectly, and I was just like, yeah, I just love this core gameplay loop, my dudes. So yeah, I'm not a big MMO guy, but I'm interested to see if Lucky has any fun stories about it, and maybe we can do some gameplay and stuff later.
Oh yeah,
I like the aesthetics of Final Fantasy for sure. 14's got some good ones, and they were smarty pants as they put in a Viera. Of course you do. Why wouldn't you? The best. And they have Dragon Girls. They know it's Final Fantasy knows what's up. But yeah, so that's one thing, but I don't think you've mentioned on air yet the other thing that happened to you.
Yep. So, as people know, Lucky doesn't have a PS5. I fell asleep during the Prime window, missed out. And so I've kind of been taking it easy, hoping that eventually production will be able to meet up with demand and scalpers would stop getting them. Because let me clarify something. The lack of PS5s on the market isn't solely due to scalpers, or although they definitely do not help. Is that the official reason for the shortage is that we have a semiconductor shortage, which is this is a constant problem with like chip manufacturers. Yes. There's only so much factory space and so much silicon to go around. Yeah, and Sony tried to step up production, I believe, before the PS5 came out. They tried to.
Obviously, you can't keep up with demand, right, in these cases. It's just not possible.
This is one of the reasons why everyone's like, recycle your fucking electronics, nerds. There's good shit in there.
Yeah, there's precious metals and rare earth metals and silicon and semiconductors and phones and stuff. Do make sure they get recycled.
Yeah. But recently, because news is coming out, like Resident Evil and all the other stuff, Lucky's been getting a little bit antsy. And our good Discord buddy Panda was all like, hey, yo, man, do you need some help getting a PS5? And at first I was sus because Lucky is very prideful. Very prideful. I usually don't like accepting help. But Panda was just like, no, I won't like actually get it for you. I'll just tell you where the cells are, and you can get it. I was like, oh yeah, no, that's great. And so Panda, for like the past 2 weeks, has just been giving me links. It's like, hey man, they're gonna be doing a sale here. Get ready. And sometimes I'd be at work, sometimes I'd be at home, sometimes I would miss it because I was busy. But like a few days ago, he's all like, hey man, I'm sorry Panda if this is not your voice. This is the Panda voice now. He's just like, hey man, Walmart's doing a sale here. Get ready. So I got ready, and fuck, I was able to get one. It took me a couple tries because I missed it actually made me so mad. So they went on sale exactly at noon. And I was like, I made a Walmart account. I fucking signed in. I was ready. I'm ready to hit the fucking button. Noon hits. I hit the button. Immediately sold out. I was like, you motherfuckers. It's like they went out that quick. But Walmart was doing this in waves, and
The smart thing.
Yeah. And so 10 minutes later, they had a second wave. Boom, I was able to get one. Lucky has a fucking PS5 on the way. The unfortunate thing is, because it's fucking Walmart, it's gonna take till like March to get here. Actually, let me double check it right here. March.
Yeah. Also, I gotta be real. I wouldn't be surprising if Walmart isn't selling these things based on how many they've got on a truck from Sony coming.
Yeah.
That they don't even fucking own yet, but they know they will go fast. So they're like, okay, we're gonna sell them to you now, and they're gonna get to our warehouse, and then we're gonna ship them to you.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out as we go.
Yeah, but Walmart is on the fucking hook for getting me a PS5. I got me the disc one because as much as I understand the digital revolution, I still like discs. I literally
And to be fair, like, because everything on the PS4 is backwards compatible, like I've hardly played any PS5 games, but I've ordered PS4 games and put them in my PS5, like 13 Sentinels.
Yeah.
Because it just extends your backwards compatibility, ease of access, right?
Yeah.
If you got a disc, you can just slap that shit in there.
So I did that. It was kind of an unexpected purchase for me, but it was one of those ones of like, I can't go back. I gotta go for it.
Yeah, that's how I felt when I got mine. I was like, ooh, that's a price tag, but I'm gonna see if I can make it work.
Yep. But I'm gonna be okay because immediately after that, I was like, I'll just fucking do my taxes. And guess what? I'm making just enough in back taxes that I'll have enough to pay it off. It's like it was fated or something. Yeah. So I will have a PS5. Once that arrives, I will like yell at Omega and we'll see if we can get share play going.
Yeah.
Because then
that'll open up a lot of interesting things with like share play and stuff and making sure we're all on the same hardware and whatnot. Because there's that, we've talked about this before, there's the PS Plus collection on it, which includes Resident Evil 7 and several other games. So we might be able to do some fun stuff.
Yeah. But this also means that by the time that Resident Evil Village comes out, we should also be able to do that. Hopefully by the time this is all out, like what I want to do is get my PS5, get the share play set up, get us through Resident Evil 7 in time for Resident Evil 8, and then, well, who knows, maybe do some other things. Like, I don't know. We'll find out. Like I said, like again, this thing says March 3rd, but I'm like, maybe they'll get it in faster? I don't fucking know.
Especially depending on how they ship it, right? But I've noticed this because I've been ordering a decent amount of stuff on, like, not only am I going animal with my Steam purchases, but I'm ordering a decent amount of shit for reasons and stuff. I'm expecting my next Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster box this Tuesday, so look for a video in the future. But like, there's a lot of, like, on the one hand, some are like, oh yeah, no, this'll take us like a couple of weeks to get to you, because it's like especially with Yu-Gi-Oh! Product that's like, I'm buying from a game store or, you know, game seller somewhere in the country who's like, has to pull the thing I'm buying out of their back room, get it to the USPS, and then the USPS has to get it to me, right?
Yeah.
But also those estimates are super elongated too, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're like, this'll take like, this won't get to you until maybe early March, and it's like, by the way, it's shipped and it's leaving like California. It'll be to you in like less than a week, and I'm like, cool.
No, wait, I didn't want to do that. All my planets must be new.
You never know. It really depends on when they actually get the product and when it actually gets to a shipper. Like, once it's in the hands of whoever is shipping it, you have a fairly reasonable expectation of when it's actually going to get to you. Because it's, you know, there's...
Anomaly found.
While, yeah, we still have concerns, still got the Backstreet Boys and all that stuff, there's a very solid clockwork level to getting shit shipped. Once it leaves the facility and it starts going on trucks and planes and trains and shit, it's on time, basically. Like, unless Poseidon eats your PS5, which, you know, knock on wood, I haven't heard of that happening. God, I hope they're not... I hope they're not shipping PS5s in shipping containers for a multitude of reasons, because that's... I know that's the best way to do bulk, but that's low and slow, my dudes. That's probably not how you want to be distributing these things right now. But like, unless like a train derails or something, which is very rare, your stuff will get to you on time usually. Like, it's once it's in a place, and obviously I've noticed this sometimes the postal service or whoever is real anal retentive about going through all the hoops. Like, I've had stuff get like sent to a city near me and then sent back out to another city to like hit a different distribution center and then actually end up at my fucking post office and then go on a truck out to me but
Construction
that's only like a day
complete.
extra, right? So yeah,
System
hopefully,
survey complete.
like you'll be able to talk about PS5 stuff at least by March,
Construction complete.
if not sooner, because shipping nebulous.
Yep. So, well, to prep for a PS5 because I understand that they are huge boys. Lucky went out today and bought himself a TV mount, so my TV is now mounted up in the air, and I have cleared off a big old spot where there'll be plenty of airflow. I said this, like, honestly, once my PS5 gets here, I'm probably gonna pack up my PS4, and I might set up my PS3 because I have a Gen 1 PS3 that's fully backwards compatible. So I might set that up as well, so I can get that because I know I have some games still on the PS3 back there that I want to get done. But yeah, I do believe that's it for that bit.
Yep. So got further video game stuff in the pipeline, and of course, like I said, we talked about lots of
Special project complete.
I want to throw this out there for people and stuff. Lucky maybe dropping Arknights. I'm still casually playing. I probably won't bother doing anything contract related, but I will probably make sure to do dailies and stuff because I got some new units to farm up. But they did finally release that neural costume, and I did immediately buy it.
Yeah, it kind of hurt.
I may have been continually checking to see when that maintenance dropped.
Construction complete. Evading
But also, here's the thing. Speaking to Lucky's like reasons why he's quitting stuff, I also hoard Prime like nobody's business. So like that's easy for me to go on that. Maybe though, I don't know. I feel like I've talked about this. I feel like Arknights crushed my spirit a lot early on or in the middle game. So I like was just like I don't feel like throwing money at this problem will help me. Which may be why I don't spend a lot of money on Arknights, aka almost none. I still buy the monthly pack. I want to support the game, and also it gives me the goo.
Gives goo.
So long as you remember to log in every day, which I usually do. And I should put Arknights back on my phone as well.
The spirits have granted us new
yeah, I don't think it's not like FGO where you're like quantum encrypted to your device. It only activates once. I can play it on both freely, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I should probably put it on my phone as well because I've downloaded the Big Boy Valentine's update, so I can also casually play Arknights from my phone in bed.
Yeah, you can't you can't play them on both at the same time.
No, but I can log in on another device and log in from different devices to the same account at different times and do different stuff because, you know. But yeah.
Let's see.
So I think, let's see. Well, since we're only an hour and a half in, I think this is a good time to pivot back to another upcoming video game topic.
Oh.
I don't think we've got anything to say about Resident Evil Village any further, though they did. I think that was this week where they got the fucking art director to come out and say how tall Lady Rescue is.
Yeah, she huge.
In her hat and heels, mind you, she's 2.9 meters or 9 feet tall. She is one of the hugest video game characters who is like a person ever. Like, she's bigger than Master Chief, she's bigger than Doom Guy. I think she's bigger than most Resident Evil enemies. I mean, admittedly, she's wearing high heels and has a big hat, too. But she's tall.
She's tall.
And the internet is absolutely okay with this.
Yeah, they are.
Well, that's why the art director, he was like, hey, guys, we're super glad you're very interested in Lady Dimitrescu, and we can't wait to show her off to you. Just to let you guys know, she's 9 fucking feet tall. Okay, bye. Resident Evil understands what they're doing.
Special project complete.
Brilliant. But we've had a couple of announcements and notifications. I think we've got an official date on when the Mass Effect Legendary Edition is coming out. The trilogy is coming back. Remastered on next-gen consoles.
Yeah,
I don't remember that off the top of my head, but they're doing
I know some other news about it, about them being fucking weird with maybe some special packs.
Anomaly found.
Yeah, this is probably an EA level decision. Some of their like special editions are being a little funky. Like I think they're offering the actual Legendary Edition while it comes with like an N7 helmet and stuff. It also doesn't come with the fucking game disc.
Yeah, that's a little weird, guys.
Cool case. But in terms of the actual game design, so they've spelled out what we're getting, which is basically you're getting Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3. So the core trilogy. You're getting all the DLC packs except one.
Corrupted.
One of the Mass Effect 1 DLCs was apparently subcontracted, and I guess that studio doesn't exist or something anymore, so they just don't have the fucking source code.
No, it's not that. It's that it's all corrupted. Like, every single source of that code has been corrupted. They even went back and talked to the guys, and their copy is corrupted.
Oh, okay. So so they had a bug code, and so the original, it's not lost. The original source code is basically trashed. So
Yeah.
there's no way to recover that DLC in a timely fashion. They would have to like remake from scratch.
Basically.
Probably a lot to ask for what a lot of people I think have said is a fairly minor DLC.
Yeah, I've never played it, so I can't say.
Yeah. But all of this will cost you $60. Now, I know some people are a little spicy about that, but I would like to put forward, you're getting remastered graphics, right? Everything's up to date. They're unifying the graphical engine as well, so every game will look roughly similar. They haven't explained directly yet, but they're talking about they're smoothing over some of Mass Effect 1's gameplay to be more like the others. Like they're explicitly gonna work on Mako steering and stuff, which a lot of people said was bad. I never actually played one, so yeah. But like they're gonna polish one's gameplay to be a little bit tighter and a little bit more like the other two. They're remastering all the graphics, and like I said, they're including all the DLC packs, some of which I haven't even played. Right?
Yeah.
Like let alone on one, obviously, because I didn't. But I never got all the, because $10 a pop for story DLC back in the day, it can be a little pricey when they release like 4 of them. So sometimes you got to pick and choose. So I've only played like half of Mass Effect 2 and 3's DLCs. So that'll be interesting to actually like get that all as like a coherent, integrated block. All the content will be there, and you're getting all this, literally hundreds of hours of stuff for $60. That's a good price point, right? Like in terms of value, yes, it's not the usual 60-hour game's worth of man hours to work on, but they still did put some effort into it, and they're doing it. The only thing that disappoints me is that they've said that they are not remastering Mass Effect 3's multiplayer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is a little sad because that was a really good mode. Maybe if the game does well, they might, bust it out as like a standalone or something. I could see them doing that. Because like they put a lot of free-to-play content in it. They might also not be doing it because also I've heard that apparently Mass Effect 3's fucking multiplayer servers are still on also. So that could be why. If you can still play the OG, they might not think that that's a priority target. But I'll live. I just think it's a fun little 4-man PvE thing with like they did a lot of fun with the different classes and races you can pick.
Anomaly found.
Though I don't know, maybe they're avoiding it because it was very like loot boxes were not required, but it was very loot box leaning, right? Like everything was handled in the form of random loot boxes. Like yes, you got free to play loot boxes by playing the game and leveling up, but also you could buy more. So like maybe they're just like, no, we don't need that look right now. But yeah, that's pretty interesting and exciting. So I'm ready for this, right? Because that'll be my first time, like I said, actually playing ME1, and it'll be good to go back and play 2 and 3 and kind of look at them all at once. Because this has got a lot of people thinking about the Mass Effect series and kind of how things go, and I think a lot of people are actually kind of like I've heard some people even be like much softer lately on Mass Effect 3. Like it was real hip back in the day to hate Mass Effect 3.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
System survey complete.
And personally, I've never got it. Like I think I've said this before. I understand intellectually like why people may be not as jazzed about the original ending of 3 because it doesn't feel as much of a thematic ending to all 3 stories, but thematically the conclusion of 3 was very on point for 3, which I liked. And when they did the director's cut stuff, they added in some extra expansion to kind of talk about your choices. That said, this is one of those game series that's got like 5 billion decisions. It's one of those things where like people, what the fuck are you expecting? Like I don't know. Maybe that's just the thing I'm good at is like setting my expectations for the most part, where it's just like, of course they weren't going to address literally every little thing you did. You did 5 million things over, 200 hours. That's not feasible for them to track. Those were in separate games. Even when they're in one game in the form of the trilogy, they probably can't do a lot to hook that all up because that's a fuck ton of variables to keep track of. We just talked about how like Control, a relatively modern video game, has trouble running on the OG versions of its console because it's probably got so much fucking math it's doing behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
Like, this stuff's complex, and not every machine or code is up to like tracking everything. So I was like, I'm not super upset about it, but I've heard a lot of people going like lately I've been hearing people say stuff like, 3 was probably about as good as it could have been because 2 kind of killed the momentum, and I'm kind of like, okay, I see what you're going for there. That's kind of interesting though, because I played 2 first, like in a vacuum. So I kind of want to like follow along and like, I hope this will like bring people to new appreciation of different games and kind of like get to look at everything, because there were big gaps between Mass Effect sequels, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Like a couple of years minimum.
System
So like
survey
that's
complete.
always interesting to see that stuff. And like, yeah, obviously I played 2 and then I played 3, so it did feel like 3 did kind of like shift gears with some of the stuff they were doing in terms of the meta plot. But also, hey, that's what happens when you write a game that has an ambiguous ending and you don't actually solve your fucking meta plot ahead of time. Everybody has. Everybody. Fuck, look at like Dragon Age, right?
Yeah.
Dragon Age is constantly going through meta plots like nobody's business. Like, Inquisition does a decent job of tying the meta plot of 2 and 1 together, but also still doing its own thing that isn't even in like the core meta plot. It's in the fucking side novels.
Construction.
Because yeah, they did novels. They're okay. Thunder was alright, but yeah, there's a lot of background stuff in there. So it's like, yeah, no, this is the kind of thing where like
Anomaly found.
there's only so much you can do without pre-planning, and I don't know, maybe this is just something about the way, especially in the like I don't know, I do feel like we're getting away from it a little bit now, where like games either know they're going to be a franchise ahead of time or know how to set up to be a franchise, right?
Yeah.
Hell, you see a lot of like first versions of games which are basically like betas, like think about Titanfall, right? Like
Yeah.
the first Titanfall was multiplayer only, no story. That was basically like, okay, we've got a cool idea, we're gonna do something. Oh shit, you guys love it? Fuck it, we'll make a real game with like story and other extra stuff and improve upon it.
And it was good.
Like as much as I don't necessarily like how they handled it, DICE's Battlefront and Battlefront 2 were kind of the same way. The first one was just only like arcade modes or multiplayer stuff, and then the second one was like, okay, we'll design a story, we'll do all the works, we'll do all the mocap stuff.
System survey complete.
And like, I think they were hamstrung by the greater handling of the sequel trilogy as a franchise. Speaking of things that are not franchised well, no fucking pre-planning. They did a decent enough attempt with stuff to try and do things. I feel like they still didn't have a good footing, and they didn't understand what the audience wanted or what they wanted to do creatively, so they still have weird stuff. Like I've talked about this before, where like they shoehorn in hero missions where you play as like Han Solo, Princess Leia, you know, Luke for no fucking reason, basically. Like they're involved in the story but not involved in the story. The Han mission is literally just fucking fluff. Like they used it as an excuse to explain how he knows Maz Kanata in Force Awakens. It's Han Solo with a shitty beard, and you go to her castle, and you meet a guy, and then you got to fight like 5 billion stormtroopers, and then you get to fly the Millennium Falcon. I'm like, okay, maybe if I was 9 DICE, this would be cool, but I'm an adult now. This is a cheap trick where you did a dumb story completely out of nowhere just so you could make me play as Han Solo, and I'm over it. Just make a fucking Han Solo game then, guys.
That can be fun.
Well, I do know that multiple outlets are working on, you know, new Star Wars games as well. So I don't know what they did exactly, but Disney was definitely fed up with EA's handling and like got them to go back on the contract a couple years early and start planning shit. Like I think they're contracted on with Ubisoft to do something and some other titles. So I'm very interested to see if Star Wars games really take off, because EA really did not do enough with a license like Star Wars.
I think their
Like
best one was Fallen Order.
Yes, which was years and years of trying in before basically, and that was the Titanfall guys as well.
Yeah.
That was Respawn, who can write stories and can also do fun gameplay. And basically, I felt like it was several years in, and EA was just like, fuck it, Star Wars isn't soccer. Do you guys have an idea for a game with single-player story? Fuck it, we'll do it. We don't care. You're not getting any extra budget for like DLCs or expansions or anything yet. We'll see how it does, and let's go. But hey, speaking of titles that like Fallen Order has a core gameplay, has a good gameplay loop, it has a good story that's self-contained, but it leaves itself open-ended enough that you could make a sequel and you could do new and interesting things with it. But I feel like Mass Effect was from an era where you're like, we don't really know if new IP will take off or not, so we'll leave a door open, but also we're not going to quote-unquote waste time on figuring out the plot ahead of time. And it just means there's a lot of back and forth and stuff in like 2 or 3 about what is actually the fuck going on. But at the same time, it's like when those games are made like over the course of like 5 years, what can you do, right? Like literally some of the people are different making them because it's been so fucking long. It's just, I don't know. That's how I feel about stuff a lot of the time. I'm just kind of like, you know.
Construction complete.
We'll see how it sees. Though, there was another interesting thing they're doing,
Oh.
which Lucky alluded to earlier, which is they've explicitly, I think you alluded to it earlier, they've explicitly talked about how,
System survey complete.
while they're not doing anything to Miranda's model,
Oh yeah, I
they
did.
realize now in the year 2021 that there were a lot of low-angle shots of Miranda's perfect behind that were just like, why is the camera doing this? We don't need the camera to do this. This is supposed to be a serious scene. And yeah, it's just interesting, and some people are aghast about this. I'm kind of just like, I mean, you're taking the time to like recam your cutscenes.
I mean, I'm not upset about it. I mean, because it is kind of weird. It's like, I like Miranda's butt, but also the scene doesn't always need to be Miranda's butt.
No, like when she's having a serious fucking conversation with you, and like the rack cam like drops down to butt level, and you're just like, okay. I mean, guys, I've been playing this game. I know Miranda looks good. You don't have to force it, but I think that was just BioWare trying to be hotter and sexier, right? Because that was kind of what Mass Effect was sold on. It was like sexy space RPG, and I'm like, yeah, it is, but also it's not really. Like, there's some heavy petting and stuff to be sure, but like, nah, it's fine. They've also apparently there were some like low angle shots at like even male Shep sitting down, legs open, that they were just like, why did we do that this way? Let's aim the camera up slightly. He can splay out, relax as you do, as men do. Spread your knees far apart, power stance, but we don't need to be staring directly at his crotch. It's okay. It's fine.
It's fine.
So I'm like, yeah, no, like that. If you're going to the trouble of doing a remaster, you can totally look at your old stuff and like that. The Miranda butt shots, a lot of them are probably just cheap heat, and they're not necessary. So long as they're not nerfing her model, right? Which, as far as I know, they are not. Because they're, as far as we know, they're not really doing anything with the models. Like, I think the only model that's getting standardized is that they are going to like default FemShep is getting a unified look across all 3 games, because that was one of those things they couldn't make up their fucking mind about.
Construction complete.
But nah, this is all gonna be the same. I don't think they're like bothering to re-record any dialogue. They're just doing the stuff and putting it all together. It'll be fun to check out. And at the very least, I hope that it will have a fairly easily unified save check system, so I can scope out your plans from previous games, so I don't have to do dumb motion comic things over and over again. Now, admittedly, I do hope that maybe I hope they have like a quick setup feature, kind of like DA2 did.
Construction
Or at least DA Keep did when they brought it out. Like, you could do presets. Because, I mean, there'll be times when I'm probably not going to want to replay the whole entire fucking Mass Effect trilogy.
I'm probably going to.
But might want to just play like 2 or 3.
I mean, I'm going to try it. I'm going to try and do the whole thing. I've been wanting to do the whole
thing.
Oh,
I mean, I'm going to play the whole thing at least once. But, like, in the future, if I want to go back and just, like, redo a different build on, like, 2 or 3, will I want to do all of them? I don't know. It might be easier, though, because it's all Shepard's story. Like, Dragon Age, as much as I love the concept of occasionally going back and doing all the shit, I've done it a couple of times. That's a lot more resource intense, and it's easier to break out and just be like, nah, I'm just going to play 2 today. Because you play a different main character every time.
Mm-hmm.
Also, by the way, please, for the love of God, do this for Dragon Age also, BioWare. Please. Mass Effect, please do well. Please do this for Dragon Age. That's got a lot of DLC as well. Some of which I still haven't played for Inquisition. Because some of it you only put out on the next-gen version, which I didn't have.
The spirits have granted
Animals.
wisdom.
Yeah. But, I mean, I understand tech limitations and shit, but that's a little annoying that, like, I can't even get, like, what's the really big post-game DLC? Sundered? Awakening something?
Awakening.
It's the really, really big one that they do.
For Origins, yeah, it's Awakening.
Awakening was the big one. No, I'm talking about for Inquisition. They did that big.
Oh.
They did a big like post game story. Not like a standalone, but like it was a pretty chunky DLC that was like only available on the PS4 and Xbone version. And I was like, okay, guys, cool. I bought the PS3 version because they were concurrent releases. So thanks, guys. And DAI Game of the Year edition is like eternally out of stock on the PS4, sadly. So I hope that they do something similar. But yeah, I'm excited for Mass Effect. Like I said, I'll definitely play all of them at least, do the whole trilogy at least once. I'll find the time. It will be time consuming, but
yes,
it'll be fun, I hope. Hope it's fun. They said they're gonna fix the tank thing, so that'll be cool.
Oh.
The spirits have granted us new wisdom.
Okay. Oof. Yeah. So yeah. I don't know why I never played Mass Effect 3. I'm trying to think.
I mean, there was a lot of initial buzz about the ending.
Yeah.
I like 3. Like, I think it has thematical like elements that work well with itself. They really play to the thing. And hey, guess what? It's got a coherent meta plot, basically. Like, they absolutely know what the problem is and how you beat the problem and like what's the source of all the stuff. Supposedly some of the DLC stuff like adds extra layers of explanation, which is a little unnecessary, but like the core plot is okay. I just feel like a lot of people felt like they were bamboozled because they were not whatchamacallit, like it was not necessarily like a direct line continuation of a couple of the plot threads from the previous games, and also, like I said, the endings feel a little bit samey. I'm gonna assume part of that was because they came out with the quote-unquote director's cut DLC like within the next couple of months.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna assume part of that was time crunch.
Yeah, probably.
Like they would have added some of the extra detail to the endings, but didn't have time, and maybe added it later. Game design is weird, guys.
It is.
Okay. Talked about Mass Effect finally. I don't think there's anything to talk about Cyberpunk. They're still chugging out updates.
Yep.
They've had a most recent hotfix. Apparently there was an exploit in some stuff that in the modders tools on PC. They fixed it. That's good. Good to be fixing.
I'm
still waiting for like more concrete info.
Yeah. I know they're talking about their fixes and stuff. I'm like, what about DLC though?
Yeah, what about core game updates? Not just hot fixes, but like updates and stuff. What you got? I know you said you'd do free DLC sometime this year. I'm just, I'm waiting for the detail on the roadmap. It's like how we started this talking about the Nemesis update, right? Where it's like, okay, cool, you've officially announced the thing, and you're saying what's in it. Cool, I can wait now. But like right now, it's just like, oh, we're gonna do something this year. Maybe I'm like, just tell me what you're doing. Just tell, like, you don't even have to tell me when it comes out. Just tell me what you're thinking about doing, and I'll be excited. You know.
System survey complete.
It's like, I'm excited. But well, let's see, what else we got to talk about here?
I'm not really sure. Let's see, what do we got? Well, there's definitely been some long pauses, but we're just under 2 hours. We don't really have anything to talk about Gacha right now.
No, like I said, I've given them up. Azure Lane's doing a new mini event kind of thing because guess what? Chinese New Year, so they busted out all the fucking dresses. There are no panties to be found anywhere.
Yeah, as usual, one of the costumes, I believe it's one of the Live 2D, is Bremerton, so the internet's going fucking apeshit. It's great on my Twitter feed. There's not really anything else to go great about stuff.
Yeah, there's a new Ironblood submarine, so Lucky's all about that life.
Yeah. No, we did not yet talk about any tabletop stuff.
Well, is there really much to talk about Star Wars? I mean, we did stuff. We moved on.
You did stuff. You did a lot of exploring. There was a lot of planning and stuff. People can check this out already. The AP's already up. Go watch it.
Watch it.
Tomorrow we will do a mini Moss combat. Lucky had to actually look up a rule.
Yeah, I was and that was really good that we decided to cut it a little early and get into it, because I was fairly inspired right away to do some work on that. And and I was able to churn something out. So it should be fairly short. We'll discuss more about the details.
Yeah, cool.
Tomorrow, obviously.
Yep. So
but I got an actual math combat, because that was an option I had, but I was able to actually structure something because we stopped in time and we're just like, is this how you guys are going to solve this problem? Okay, we'll do it.
Yep. I mean, we gather. We gathered up, everybody.
Complete.
We're gonna friendship this shit. Well, kind of. We're not gonna friendship the man. Well, I don't know.
I mean, like, we can talk about some of the stuff that happened, but like, it's much better to, you know, like experience it. Like, go listen to us in that moment.
Yeah.
Because I think there's some really cool scenes in the latest Star Wars AP, but
yeah.
Us talking about, like, we can describe them to you and how nuts they are, but like, you're better off checking it out, because that was, I did a little bit of my Animal GM stuff. Like, normally I honestly think I'm very permissive to players. Like, I listen to APs from a lot of people, and I hear a lot of GMs who are just like, no, you can't do that. And I'm just like, that's the kind of thing that, like, wow, if we, obviously some of that is just like comfort groups with people, but like, I feel like almost like if I got that too much from some of those people, I might start some fights. Like that's just like telling me straight up I can't do something that seems reasonable. Like, no, you're way over there. You can't possibly, like, when we don't have, like, when I know the game they're playing doesn't have like tac maps and shit, and it's just like, you're just saying players can't do stuff because you're trying to force tension and like uncomplicate things for yourself because you're running for like 6 people. Okay, maybe it's because I've GM'd a lot, so I see behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my usual preference is, like, when we're dealing with a lot of people doing stuff at time, is like, it flows less, but I usually am like, okay, stop, what are you trying to do? And like, yeah, if it doesn't make sense in the context of the immediate time frame, I can be like, I don't think you can get that accomplished in time. Or when players try and do like crazy complex stuff on a dime, I'm like, okay, you want to build a cold fusion reactor in the next 6 seconds? And usually I make sure to put a question mark on the end, and they're like, usually what I get back from most players is like, yeah, no, you're right. Okay, that doesn't work. Hold on, let me think about this better. And occasionally, sometimes, you get people who are like, yeah? And I'm like, okay.
Lucky.
You're going to need to roll me a very, very good check right now.
Lucky has been that person on occasion.
Yes. And I've talked about this with other groups. People have noted, Lucky, that you are absolutely that guy who's not afraid of dice. Like, you just don't give a fuck. Dice rolling? I have 20%? Fuck it. Who was it? I think it was Dallas talked about this when we were at D&D, because we were talking about like different roles and like how we feel about rolling stuff. Or I think he was talking about Mages of War, Lucky, where like you drifted from like being concerned and cautious about stuff to just like within sessions you evolved into fuck it adjustment, Lucky. Roll dice, shoot some shit, throw spells. Did it work? Nah, fuck it, I'll try again later. Which is, yeah, no, that is absolutely, definitely, like, that was absolutely Taket's characterization from our biggest Star Wars campaign.
Yeah.
And Arama's not quite as fuck it adjustment as Taket was, but she definitely has her own, like, versions of going with the flow in certain situations. But I definitely feel like, oh gosh, what was your name in Mages of War? Were you Wilhelm?
No. I was,
I'm not looking at my, like, I have all your character names written down. I'm not looking at my notes, though, is the problem.
Hang on.
I can, for some reason, remember your playtest character's name. That was Arthur Silverheart, I think.
Yes.
But I don't remember your...
What was it? It was Wolfgang.
Wolfgang, right. I had to write with a W. Wolfgang, yeah. Like, that was absolutely, yes, you started as a slightly shabby, shell-shocked officer who, like, was cautious about everything. And then it was just... Then the Lucky just came out and was just like, no, I'm getting tired of this.
Well, yeah, it was the point of, I'm trying to be all cautious and be a good officer, but I still keep getting shot. I'm sick of being shot.
Yeah, basically, and some of that was design choices on your part. You took the gilded armor upgrade for extra charisma, even though it's explicitly noted that makes it obvious. So whenever Omega out loud asked himself, gee, who do I attack now? It's gotta be the shiny guy, though.
Yeah, I was shiny. I never really bitched about the object. I was just like, I shouldn't have done this.
No, you didn't complain about it to me. You complained about it to yourself. Just like, this is not a good idea, B. This is not a good plan. But yeah, so like after a couple of sessions of where you got hit, and Mages of War is intentionally designed as a game where getting hit with bullets is not fun, you were like, okay, no, we're doing something different, and you went all out on your CQC build.
Yeah.
And just, you know, it evolved into a character who is like, nah, I'm gonna go a little crazy. And it worked out.
Yeah.
And you know, different characters do different stuff. Like a lot of my memories from the old MHR days are a little hazy. It's been a while now. But like as Zeus, you were very like, you were still lucky, so yeah, you could sometimes just go Heron off and just be like, I'm just gonna throw lightning at this guy. But a lot of the times you played him as like the curious, technical, slightly in over his head guy of just like, what the fuck is going on right now, guys? Hold on. What's happening? What's this? Is this shiny? Can I eat this?
Can I
turn it into a gun? Does it fit in my pocket? I'm gonna steal it anyway. And of course, as how I described my supers characters, that was never a problem for anybody. Guys, can we take this safe? Hold on, I've got hyper body. Let me rip it out. Like,
I remember we once raided like a fucking, I don't remember if it was like a medical facility or something, but we're like, hey, they got all these cool fucking like medical tanks. Can we steal these? I was like, they got vans. Fuck it, let's just load them up in the vans and drive off. And we did.
Yeah, no, that was your usual response whenever you busted any criminal facility was, is any of this stuff useful or valuable to us, and can we take it with us? The answer to which was usually, I mean, you're supers, yeah, you can take it with you. And like, I'm like, nah, bases are cool, guys, I don't care.
I love bases.
I don't care what you keep in your refurbished fire station. Yeah, that was their base. They found an old fire station and they did a
construction.
And honestly, some of this I tried too hard to make like mechanical. I wouldn't anymore, but like definitely like you started with like you guys did a bootleg. This I think was even before pre-Zeus stage, before Lucky joined the campaign. Like the squad did like a bootleg power and internet hookup, and then it slowly evolved into like, you know, we've got like security alarms and security systems and a tiny workshop and an underground escape hatch. Because you always need an escape route.
Yeah, you do.
No, but it was like this is the thing I talked about before with like how I've seen other people play supers games, or like when I was playing Spider-Man, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like Peter Parker sees a duffel bag full of money and he's like, leaving it for the cops. And the Noble Society sees a duffel full of money and they're like, I'm gonna take this.
Yeah.
Now some of this is gonna get redistributed to the poor, but also I'm gonna fucking take this. Is there literal blood on this blood money? Don't care, it's money. We'll find a use for it. But that was, I think that was, and obviously that was earlier, right?
Construction complete.
That does sound like a Dallas thing to say. I mean, that's totally what would happen to Spider-Man. Spider-Man would, like, take a duffel bag full of money and somehow somebody would get it on camera, and J. Jonah would be yelling about it the next day because he yelled about everything.
Our ships have been improved.
That's not even a J. Jonah quote. That's from Portal, but it's hilarious in the context because it's the same guy.
Anyway. Oh shit, I'm gonna be able to play Miles Morales. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you will.
That's exciting.
So, yeah, no, like, I think there's different attitudes to stuff, but I try not to be constrictive with the dice unless it serves a purpose, and to cycle back to how we started this story, it totally served a purpose last weekend, because I had a multitude of options and countermeasures pre-prepped that I could slot into whatever you guys were doing. I decided because you guys were playing a little low and slow to go for more of a hardened defense. So you guys encountered a minefield between you and the target, and we're like,
Our ships have been improved.
Most importantly, I think Lucky was concerned because it was anti-vehicle mines, and it was like, this might dent my shiny RV tank, what I want to bring to the fight. So this will not stand. So these guys go out in the middle of the night in the freezing cold polar regions and disarm the mines. And I was like, okay, minimum you need 6, but you probably need like 12. And then I made them, and by which I mean then I mean Axe, because he was the demo guy. Roll the actual 12 dice checks. You can watch this all in the replay on the video on YouTube. I made him roll the checks to disarm them all to see if something bad happened. And no, it didn't. Like, there were a couple times where he failed, but it was with like 6 advantages. Like, success just didn't happen. And no extra failure, so I was just like, okay, you failed to disarm the mine, but in a positive way, you just like realize that what you're doing, poking at it in the dark, is not helping. So you're going to just take a second, take a breath, start again. There was a little bit of a clock ticking, but not a huge thing, right? Like, I didn't make an efforts of, like, how much extra time it was taking you. But it did work well, and it got super tense because it turned into a whiteout blizzard at the end.
Yeah. No, that was the fun bit.
So, yeah, like, you guys should go listen to that. But we don't really need to, like, break it down. I just think it was a cool moment that was mostly player driven, because that was, you guys decided that's what you wanted to do, was to go out in the dark and do the mine thing. You picked the team members you sent out for it. You like assembled the tools, and you just were like, okay, we built the system, did the check, do the thing, here's the results, move on. And like it was really cool and tension building, and like it worked out really well. And we'll see how because like that was, I think, the climax basically of that session, right? Not that every RPG session needs to have like the total I mean, Webu could have assisted, but she was mostly there for like moral support, I think. And in case something happened.
Yep.
Because she had the ability, Webu, played by our other character Marth, a space otter lady Jedi. Webu had the opportunity to assist because she could like see in the dark also, and she could also do some mechanics, though not as focused as you. So like, I think it was good that she was there as a backup, but you were already pretty well assisted, and you know, too many cooks and all that. Too many cooks. Too many cooks. You are now thinking about Too Many Cooks, an Adult Swim short. But yeah, so like that was like our climax. Now that every tabletop session needs that exact format, but it works. So like the tension peaked, and then it kind of dropped off with the storm into a kind of a different moment, and then hopefully tomorrow, next session, we are just gonna like, though there may be some exact like talking about who's gonna do what where kind of a thing, and like how you want to do stuff, but I'm ready to like immediately roll in action shot.
Boom.
You know, go for it. I got it all set up. We'll do some fun stuff.
Yeah, we did kind of leave off on a tension break because basically, like we said, there was a whiteout blizzard, and it basically just wiped the battlefield almost clean. So we're like, no, we have to attack first.
Yeah.
So basically, we are pretty much just primed and ready to go.
Yeah, you got the really, really high tension like action drama scene, like 24 style type shit, you know, Die Hard stuff where you're like, you know, one guy's in the dark fiddling with wires. Everybody just looks around concerned, right? You know, and you did all the work, and then it turned into the like the sudden blizzard effect. So that was like the, because nothing exploded, obviously. You know, you go through this moment and you feel the tension, and then you get that thing, and you're like, ah, shit, something happened. And then you guys had to make your way back in the blizzard, and then it was just kind of like this quiet, dramatic scene of like being in the dark in the blizzard and stuff. And then, you know, we did our perfect sunrise break, and everything's covered in snow, and it's like, okay, dig ourselves out, we gotta go, we're gonna do it right now. Like, okay, are you guys okay to break so that I can set up, so that I can do like something specific for when we go for it? And you guys were like, yeah, we've been going for almost 3 hours, we can take a little bit of break here. I think some of us were also a little sleepy. So it was a good break point, and like I said, I immediately turned around and did all the work that night.
You did?
I was like, okay. Like, I started just being like, all right, what in general do I want to do? And then it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to do it now. I've got an idea. I've got the tunes. Let's do it. Well, yeah, that's all right. I said that, like, okay, we've been doing this a certain amount of time. Are you guys okay stopping? Because I planned for this, but I don't have anything specific written down. If you guys give me a week, or give me like 2 hours, as it turned out, but you know, this will be 2 hours. We're not in a position where schedule wise we can break a game for 2 hours for me to sort out the rules and then come back.
No,
it wouldn't have worked. But like, it was like, okay, we're at a good tension break. We can relax. Do we want to stop here? Let me do something specific for this. And I'm glad we did, because like I said, I've got the specifics, and hopefully it will be interesting and entertaining. It's been a while since we did an actual like rules specific mass combat session. Which this is. Like, it's shorter. It's only 3 phases. As opposed to the first one we did, which took most of a session, was 5 phases. But it's still got the actual like rules and back and forth and stuff, and I had some fun with it. And some different actions and activities you guys can take.
System survey complete.
I'm assuming that probably Arama will mostly be rolling mass combat leadership checks, but you never know. I think several people have at least a dot in leadership now.
I'm pretty sure Weather does.
Yeah, so like if say for instance you get bonked in the head with a rock and have to take a nap, somebody else can take over, or if you decide you want to go do something specific on the field rather than just yell at people to do stuff, you know. You never know what the narrative will take you.
No.
But okay, that puts us over 2 hours raw. We hit up all the video game topics I want to do. So speaking of stuff shipped to me, in response to me buying him a book, Lucky bought me a book. He pre-ordered Parade of 1,000 Demons.
Yeah. I did.
Another L5R novel. It's sitting on my nightstand right now. I haven't had time to read it because I've had so many games to do with. But I'll get there eventually. But it did show up. It was a great note.
System survey complete.
That's right. I did write a note.
Yeah, okay, so I should explain this because there's no other way the rest of you audience is going to get it. So when I sent Lucky a copy of Poison River, a Daijoji Shin mystery, you can do a little gift note, right? And I wrote, "Read, motherfucker. Read." And then so when I get this copy of a book from Lucky, you know, by way of Amazon, it contains a little note that says, "No, you read, motherfucker." And thus the circle of the joke is complete.
I forgot I did that.
Construction complete.
But
I'm
right.
I'm sorry. That's the greatest thing about having a shitty memory. Sometimes is you forget your own fucking set. You forget your own set jokes to set up.
Well, yeah, and hell, and I didn't remember I wrote that note myself until I pull it out and I read it. And I'm like, you know, chuckling myself. Haha, Lucky did the thing.
I did the thing.
But okay. Well, I'm starting to get a little thirsty.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good winding down point now.
Yeah, if we don't have anything else to talk about. Yeah, like I said, hopefully I've got a good couple of hours to dig in, do some work. Because even though we're back on D&D again, that's still only one night a week, and then we've penciled in Progression Tournament for one night a week, which you guys should check out. Spoilers for the last one, but I won one, finally.
Yeah.
After 7 episodes, it took me, the guy making the series, to win a format. But y'all can check that out now. The episode also didn't take 5 million years. I cannot guarantee that will happen this week. We'll see. But we'll be shooting that Wednesday. That's when we usually do it, because that's when everybody's free. Like I said, I'll probably be getting another box full of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff this week. I can shoot some video. I can try it on my new phone. Supposedly the camera's, it's got like 3 lenses, I think. It's supposed to be better. You know, it's not that I bought it for the camera, but I've heard the camera in my phone is nice, which is what I usually use to shoot unboxing and stuff, because, you know, I'm lazy. Also, to be real, like, the camera in my phone is probably still better than a lot of, like, cheap-ass camcorders I could buy anyway.
System survey complete.
Yeah, probably.
So, I don't know. I guess the thing about digital is digital cameras can also just shoot video most of the time. But I'm not really a photography guy, so. But there's that, some other stuff. Oh, actually, that reminded me. One more thing I was going to mention. I think last week I said I was going to try and do something special. It was tangentially Yu-Gi-Oh related. I was actually, because I heard people talking about it, I was going to try and shoot some footage of the old Game Boy Advance game Sacred Cards, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sacred Cards. However, it turns out that my Game Boy captured device, my emulator, guys. I have an emulator. I own the game in real life, okay? I still have a Game Boy Advance somewhere to play it on, but I can't do that with my PC. That requires some really finicky shit. So my old-ass emulator doesn't really, like, show up on OBS. I think it's because its resolution is so shitty that it's so tiny you can't find it.
Oh, wow.
Or it just doesn't render correctly because it's so fucking old. So I have to postpone that for now. Like, I did some test runs. I will work on, like, finding stuff that works better with OBS, but it's like, yeah, it's just, I have used what is it, Visual Boy Advance? Because Virtual Boy is an actual thing. The old VBA emulator for like so long, but it just OBS is just like, yeah. VBA. OBS is just like, is this real?
Construction complete.
Yeah, no, it's like, as an emulator, it works fine. In terms of capturing, no joy yet. I'll figure it out. I know it has an internal, like, it has like a record feature, but I've tried that before. It does not run good.
Do not do
like it's not good. So that's something I'm going to poke. But yeah, sadly, I did not produce something watchable from those experiments for you last week. I apologize, but hey, I tried stuff at least. And unfortunately, that is sometimes how it goes, right? Where you poke the thing and you're like, well, that didn't work. I'll come back to it later, guys. I promise. But yeah, so that's what we got coming up in the week. I will probably spend some more idle hours playing Halo Reach and playing Stellaris. I will hope I can get in some control time, but I will probably, like I said, focus in on the week on, like I said, getting some serious hours in 13 Sentinels, so that at least if I'm not done with it in a week, I can like at least talk about future shit with Lucky.
Yeah.
If not, do a full-blown retrospective.
Our
And we'll
ships
keep
have
our
been
eyes and ears out
improved.
for more news and stuff.
Our ships
And,
have been improved.
yeah. All right.
Our
That's what's up, I
ships
think,
have
Lucky.
been improved.
Yeah. Take us out.
System survey complete.
Sorry, I had a burp there.
Heh.
All right, but I'm taking us out.
Construction
Unless, do I
complete.
want to? Nah, I don't. If people are, I'll throw this out really quick before I take us out. If people are looking for like super duper deluxe for Explorer updates, there are none. I haven't really done anything with the mechanics over the past week or so. I've filled out some, like some interesting like. They started fleshing out some of the extra like blueprint designs I added for like tools and weapons and stuff.
Anomaly found.
Like got descriptions and rules and stuff for interesting things like the blowgun, the bow, stuff like that. But that's just like fiddly bits. I haven't yet done any super full. Sorry, I was briefly distracted by a Too Many Cooks gif. Yeah, that was a trip. It was an Adult Swim thing. What did you expect? But yeah, so maybe more in future as I continue to play more space shit. But that's where we are.
Construction complete.
So's it's time for the outro of What's Up, which begins with me reminding everybody that if you're watching this video on YouTube, be sure to give this video a like if you liked it. And even if you didn't like it, give it a like just for the hell of it. And of course, if you're new here,
Survey complete.
please subscribe if you haven't already. You can comment in the comment section down below. We love What's Up comments. We don't get enough of them. Comment down there. You can hit up our Discord. The link is in the description or on our channel page. And it's a public Discord. I hear a lot of people talking about Patreon-only Discords. That seems a little limited to me, but whatever. You do you. You can also hit that bell for notifications to always know when we post a new video. Because, like I said, I think I'm going to keep premiering What's Ups to keep some of the live feel. Though that did confuse some people last week. No, it's not actually live. It's premiere. It plays like a live stream. You get a chat and stuff, and
Situation log
you don't get to watch.
updated.
You don't get to skip ahead, but it still exists. You can also join our channel memberships.
System survey
Speaking of
complete.
experiments that I also did in a rush in the middle of the night, it has badges now that I did myself. They exist. They're squidged FGO stars, but they exist. And it helps support us, especially when we cannot live stream right now and get like super chat and other stuff. And the thing we said at the beginning too, you can support us on Patreon. You can access this episode early, get it in audio format for as little as $1 a month or $10 a year. You get access to other stuff as well, and it would really help us out and support us. So we hope you consider it. And, yeah, that's What's Up.
We out.
All right, done so.